my God, this guy's such a coward.
Who?
Hey, where are you, man? Where were you?
I was editing.
You were editing. Okay. Well, I was waiting for at least 11 hours for you to even accept the Skype request, and then I see a note from you.
That is
at
because you
2:01.
asked me at 5 in the morning, and I said, send this person my
What
Skype,
five?
and I went to bed.
When is 5 in the morning for you?
Right
'Cause you
now
say
it's
it's 4:30 now
3:30
there.
in the morning, so it would be an hour and a half from now yesterday.
An hour and a half yesterday. No, that's not what happened.
An hour and a half, it is what happened
Request
at
at
5 in the
10:58
morning.
p.m. Eastern time. You're from the East Coast of the United States. You know what time it is here on the East Coast.
I live in Japan, and it was 5 in the morning when I heard about you, and I got your request when I got it. It was probably 4 in the afternoon before I saw it, the next day. Because I got up and did shit with
So
my
that's
kids.
12 hours. That's 12 hours
So?
ago. That's
Yeah.
12 hours ago.
And?
You're running smack on the internet for me not reacting in a half an hour.
I didn't run
telling me
smack
not to
on the
wait. You
internet
made
for
me
you
wait
not
for
reacting.
12
I
hours.
said, I'm here right now. Do you want to talk?
I'm here right now too. We're recording and we're live.
Okay.
We're live on Facebook, Ryan. So there
Great.
we can see you finally picked up the phone after telling me not to make you wait, and you made me wait for 12 hours, and then you made me wait for another 10 minutes after you're telling me
Asking
you're
someone
gonna
to
pick up the
add
phone.
somebody on Skype means add me so I can talk to you later. I'm not going to stay up from 5 a.m. when I'm just about
Nobody's
to go to bed
asking
just
you
to talk
to,
to
but also you're misrepresenting what's going on, and that's what you always do.
I haven't said anything to anyone. You're talking to some other people, third parties and stuff about me. You went on Adam Green's show talking shit. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I did. I called out
I've never
every
heard
single
of you.
person at Adam Green interviews and said that they're all government agents. Like
Everybody
you are.
he's interviewed is a government agent, except for you.
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you're a crazy
Is Christopher
person.
Bolin not a government agent? You're a government agent.
Which
and I'll
government?
explain why.
Okay.
Anyone
I'm entertained. Tell me the evidence of me being a government agent along with everyone Adam Green's ever interviewed.
Well, he hasn't
Where's your
interviewed that many
evidence?
people. Persons. Right.
Well,
Number
forget
one.
about the other people. How am I a
Number
government
one,
agent?
hey, let's start with you advocating to your listeners to participate in rigged elections and vote for a tool of Israel, Donald Trump, a Jew tool, a Chabad Lubavitch tool in rigged elections, where you go on and talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, but you never mention Jeffrey Epstein.
I didn't talk about Epstein and Bill
co-defendant
Clinton.
Donald Trump.
I never got into the Epstein stuff on either side. And I told people
Why are
they
you
could vote for
advocating
Donald
voting for
Trump
Donald Trump in a rigged election?
because I don't agree that it's rigged, and I thought Hillary was worse.
You think elections are real?
Yes.
You don't think elections are rigged?
I don't think they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on fake elections, raising money just for that.
Well, let me correct you. They
And
spend
the reason
more
I
than
told
hundreds
people
of
to vote for
billions. They
Trump
spend
was because
billions.
Hillary was
They
worse.
spend billions, and they're 100% rigged. I mean, have you ever seen the voting machine hacking? I mean, that
Yes,
went on
people
in
cheat.
Ohio.
That
Is that
doesn't
not
make it
rigging
rigged.
elections?
That's people attempting to cheat in the election, and it happens all the time. So what?
You just said the elections aren't rigged, and then you just said they are rigged.
I said people try to cheat. That doesn't make the entire election. That's why they have to cheat. That's why they have to have black box voting. That's why they try and get rid of paper trail. That's why they want electronic voting so that they can cheat. Hillary
They
cheated.
do have all of those
Hillary
things.
cheated.
They
She
have
still
them now.
lost.
It's rigged.
Okay,
The
you believe
AP
it?
announces it before the elections even take place.
Then
the
it
last two
doesn't.
presidential
It doesn't
elections-
matter who you advocate because it's all predetermined, right? It doesn't
course
matter
it
if
is.
somebody says vote Hillary or Trump because they've already picked the person, right?
Why are you advocating voting for the number one enemy of the American people? And now he's a tool, obviously, but you're voting.
I always told people he was a Zionist piece of shit and all that. I just said he was better than Hillary because he wasn't going to aid
But
Al-Qaeda
go
in
out and
Syria.
vote for him. Hey, he's a Zionist piece of shit, so go out and vote for him.
Well, if it was between him and Hillary, which it was, I said he was less bad than her. I said the same thing about Obama versus McCain. I didn't like Obama either, but McCain was worse. So I said I was a Ron Paul person all the way until there was no other option. It was
Ron
McCain or
Paul
Obama.
is a joke too. Ron Paul
is he a government agent
spent
also?
his entire career in a criminal organization. Do you know what Title 31 of U.S. Code is?
Is he a government agent too?
I mean, is he a member of Congress?
He was.
Was he a member of Congress?
Yes.
I mean, of course.
That's not an agent. What is your evidence
Agent?
of me being a
Define the
government
word
agent?
agent.
Because I told
Look
people
up the
to
word
vote for
agent.
someone over Hillary?
Look, you don't even
Dude,
know what
this
words
is your
mean.
thing. You're the one that's calling people out and saying everyone's government agents but you.
You are.
Where's your
Yes.
evidence? I've never accused anybody of being a government agent.
No. I'm saying you are a government agent.
Okay, based on what evidence?
Based on the fact that you put out misinformation. Based on the fact that you work in the United States, although you live
I work in the United
country
States, but I don't live in the United States.
Other foreign agents. Hey, what's your history with the Answer Coalition? What's your history with United for Peace and Justice? What's your history with working with the alleged pro-Palestinian groups down there in Washington, D.C. at AIPAC? Do you know who finances those organizations?
Well, I don't.
You ever heard of National Endowment for Democracy?
None of those
or the
groups.
Tides Foundation?
Well, if you shut up long enough, I'll answer it. If you want to answer to a question, you have to be quiet long enough to hear the answer.
Go ahead.
United for Justice and Peace and Answer are not at the TILUP conferences that I attend. Those are the kind of people that yell at buildings in the street.
No.
Yes.
That's not true, man.
Have you ever been to any of these conferences? Do you even know what it's called?
Were you in Washington, D.C. for the AIPAC conference in 2017?
I was there for the anti-AIPAC conference.
There was no anti-AIPAC conference. There was a demonstration.
There was an Israeli lobbycon in the Washington Press Club. There's a whole bunch of speakers that have film of it. This year, Nora Earhart was there.
Who paid for that?
IRmep and the Washington Institute and a lot of us buying tickets.
Right. Who finances those groups?
What does IRmep stand for?
I don't know what IRmep is.
You don't know
but
any
I'm
of
talking
this stuff.
about the people behind United for Peace and Justice and
They're
Code
not
Pink.
part of this shit.
Code Pink is not part of that?
Code Pink is not part of it, no. Code Pink is not in the building. Those are the kind of people that,
Code Pink
that go
is not
out
in the building.
streets
No members of Code Pink were in the building.
None.
None.
They don't attend that kind of stuff because you have to pay money, like $100 to get a ticket just to go in the Washington Press Club, and it's there for the grown-ups.
Yeah.
Code Pink and Answer and that other stuff are the ones that go outside and yell "Free Palestine" at the wrong fucking building.
You've already stated that you don't think the elections are rigged.
That's right.
Do you vote?
No, because I don't live in the United States.
You don't live in the United States.
That's right.
Why don't you live in the United States? And why are you commenting on what goes on in America when you don't even live here?
Because I don't want my kids educated in the United States. I moved to a country with a better educational system.
I'm not interested. I don't
You
care
asked me why I
about
don't live
what
in the
goes
United
on with
States.
you.
That's why I
I'm
don't
saying,
live there.
why are you a commenter on the United States when you don't even live here?
Why do I comment on any country I don't live in? It's because it's the right thing. I believe in justice. It doesn't matter if it's Palestine or Syria, Iraq, Yemen, etc. I don't have to live in
But you live in Japan, and none of what you
cover is about Japan. So I can only talk about things in Japan. If I live in Japan, I can't have an opinion about the world or be concerned with what's happening to my neighbors or where I'm from or where my family lives. Get real.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How is that not getting real? About any place other than the place you live.
You reside in Japan, and yet you don't.
Yes, I live in Japan. So what? So
yeah,
what?
you don't comment on Japanese politics.
Yes, I do every day. I'm on Press TV talking about the Korean conflict all the time. I talk about the protests in Okinawa against Tokyo. I've talked about all the fucking Japanese stuff. Sometimes it's in Japanese. You don't see this shit. I talk about more topics. Yeah, I've talked about it on Press TV. I've talked about it on RT. I've talked about it on my own channel.
Have you ever said that Israel did 9/11 on Press TV?
Who are you, by the way? Who are you?
Who are you?
I think people know who I am. I'm a geopolitical analyst. I got all this shit on YouTube. It's all over the news. It's all over.
Oh, is that right?
Radio,
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do? Have you written any books?
I have written books.
Okay, so you're an author? You could say I'm an author or something like that? What else you do?
You don't have to tell me what I can and cannot do. I decide for
You're
myself
telling me
what
I
I can
can't
and
have
cannot do.
opinions on
You know
anything
who I
outside
am.
of Japan. I don't
You know
know
who
who the
I
fuck
am.
you are. No, I don't.
You know who I am.
You just look like some angry ginger in his fucking living room yelling at somebody.
An angry ginger in his living room.
That's what
And
it
I'm
looks
not
like.
yelling.
Okay. Seems like it.
Well, you're wrong. Okay, so you advocate for people to participate in rigged elections.
Thing by saying, "Oh, what a coward and shit," and then you started in on some crap like you had to wait 12 hours. Boo hoo! I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't have to make time for you or anything. Then you accuse me of being a government agent. You offer no evidence.
You are
and
a
then
government
you said,
agent. I
then
just
you tried to
offered
say
it.
stuff
Why
about
are you in
answer.
Japan? Why are you in Japan?
I just told you, so I want my kids educated in Japan.
How did you end up in Japan? How did you end up there?
Bush got reelected, and I was like, fuck it.
And you went to Japan. Oh,
yes.
Like everybody else. How did you pay for that?
I had a program pay for it because I had a job here.
What program?
It's none of your fucking business.
Oh, so your government program you're hiding right now.
No, it's not a government program.
By
it's just I don't want to get fired from this shit, and I don't mix my politics with my job because Zionists, I already lost a job like that once.
So you somehow mysteriously end up in Japan.
It's not mysterious. It's not hard to figure out.
Who paid for it? Who paid for you to be in Japan?
I paid for it myself with my job that I got in Japan.
Doing what?
Teaching economics.
Economics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell me, what's the lender of last resort for all the central banks in the world?
The BIS.
Okay. Yeah.
What is your evidence of me being a government agent?
Because you are admitting that you're a government agent. That,
no,
that
I'm
government
not.
and corporate entity paid for you to go to another country. The Bank for International Settlements. Let's talk about the Bank for International Settlements since you say that you are some sort of geopolitical analyst. Because this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and it's not
you are trying to change the subject because you have no evidence of anybody being a government agent.
No, I'm not trying to change the subject. Let's go back to who paid for you to be in Japan.
You're looking at your phone about Answer and Code Pink and whatever that other one was, none of which were at any of the conferences I attended.
United for Peace and Justice.
United for Peace and Justice, whatever.
I see the poster in the background. End all aid is
Yes, I made this.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at the bottom of that.
Yeah, at the bottom says A and C, donate. That's my fucking website.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my site. You want a clear view? There's no fucking Answer
that's fine.
Coalition or any of that
I'll
shit on
promote
there.
your site. So, right. Hey, excellent. Great.
That's was great. 2017, yep.
Right.
It's a year old.
Yeah, we were there. We were at the Washington Convention Center. We confronted the...
you guys were outside yelling at the Verizon Center where AIPAC wasn't even located.
We were not at the Verizon Center. We were at the Washington Convention Center.
Yeah, I saw you.
Right. So, do you know there's a difference between the Verizon Center and the Washington Convention Center?
Yes, and I know what you guys did.
So
you went there with megaphones going, free Palestine, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, blah, blah, blah. I spoke at one of them.
So what?
I'm telling you, I was there. Lee Camp was there, a bunch of people, but you weren't at the conference inside with the adults. Yelling at buildings in street protests is useless. It's feel-good, it's like theatrical activism. Like, yeah, we got out there with microphones and yelled at people in a building. You're not taking on the lobby.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Do tell.
That's not even close to what happened.
That's what happens every year.
Why are you pretending earlier that you didn't know who I was?
I don't know who you are.
Well, then why did you say you saw me?
I didn't say I saw you. I said I saw those groups. You is the fucking royal you. Wouldn't know you. Wouldn't remember you anyway.
So when you say you saw me, I should just presume that you're talking about just a general
I saw those Palestine groups. I see them all the time. That get
I
invited
saw
to all
the
that
Palestine
thing.
groups.
Yes, the ones in front of the convention center.
What Palestine groups? I'm not associated with any Palestine
activist groups all in one place. And they
I'm
didn't do
not. I'm not a
anything.
part of any of those. So
Well,
you said you saw me,
You said you were at the convention center.
and you
front
said
of
you
it?
saw me.
I saw the
Right.
people in front of the convention
You're a
center.
compulsive liar.
I didn't
You're a
see you. I don't even
compulsive
know
liar.
the fuck you are. You means y'all, like the fucking people in front of the building. Jesus.
Does it?
Yes, it
How
does.
so? I saw you. I saw you out there. I saw the
guys.
videos.
You guys,
I mean,
plural.
This is recorded.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
so
I
let's
know.
talk about the Bank for International Settlements. Okay?
You want to talk
Okay,
about the BIS all of a sudden? Or so you dropped the evidence of government agent yet?
No. Why would I have dropped that? I called you
I'm
that,
asking
and
you
then,
what it is.
then
If
you
I was
say
a fucking
you
government
won't-
agent and getting
you
a
won't
paycheck,
even
I wouldn't
let
have to sell
anybody know.
t-shirts
Hold
and
on.
shit.
Hold on. You won't even let anybody know how you ended up in Japan. You just say,
Because it's none of
Bush
your
got elected
business.
and somehow I ended up in Japan.
If I was a government agent, I would have a cover story and an excuse. I'm not letting you know because it's none of your fucking business, and I don't want people hassling my employers.
You don't have to tell what specific employer. Just say, and
I
if
told you
don't-
I was a
if you
teacher.
won't- if
I'm
you
not
won't-
telling you
look,
who
you
the
won't say
fucking
who you're
company is.
employed by. What's the word employ mean? Involved in their ploy. What is their ploy? Economics?
No, it's in education. But
Well, then
it's-
why did you say it's not economics? You
Well,
said it
teaching
was
economics
economics.
is
Now you
part of
say it's not
education.
economics. It's what?
Don't play stupid. It doesn't matter if you're
I-
teaching
why are you
math
so
or
nervous?
economics or
Why are you
whatever.
so
That all
nervous and
falls under
shifty?
education. Damn. You are desperate to find something. What
I'm not desperate
I
for
think
anything. You're
just think
desperate to hide things.
I think you're just jealous. I think you're mad at
I'm
everyone.
not jealous.
You're accusing everybody.
I'm not jealous.
You're accusing Chris Bolin of being a government agent and anyone else that was on Adam Green's show, plus myself.
Absolutely.
And you offer no
Absolutely.
evidence other than, well, I don't know why you went to Japan, so it must be CIA or something. You must be working for the fucking government.
Did anybody say CIA? You're the one that said CIA.
Whatever, the government. You said
government,
that's what
right.
the foreign agencies are. Is the CIA could be, I guess, the State Department or something like that, but whatever.
It could be
It's
the
you-
FBI.
Well,
It
the
could be
FBI
the
doesn't work
DHS,
overseas.
it could be
The
FEMA,
FBI works
It
domestically.
could be a university that is fronting for those organizations.
Yes.
You tell me,
It
man.
could
You won't
be
even
the
tell me why you're
Illuminati.
there.
I don't know. It's your fucking fantasy.
I'm asking questions. This
No,
has
you're
nothing
not. You're
to do with
giving
anything except for the fact
accusations.
that you can't answer for yourself.
Oh, I can. I'm not telling you where I work.
No, I don't. It wouldn't matter to me where you work,
Well,
except
it
for the
matters
fact.
to me.
Listen,
I've already been banned on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I have all my shit attacked. I'm not getting my employment in Japan fucked with by Zionists. Just to prove
you're
to you.
a Zionist. Hey, are you
I'm
Jewish?
a Zionist with the Palestinian
Hey, here's
flag and
another
speaking
thing.
out against
Here's
Zionism
another
every
thing.
fucking day.
Here's another thing, Ryan. Here's another thing, Ryan. You attack others, and I've obviously the plane hitting the Pentagon thing
Is this your motivation?
absurd.
Are you
But we'll
one
get
of
to
the,
that later.
Are you one of the
we'll
missile
get to that
people?
later. We'll get
Are
to
you
that
one of the
later.
missile people?
Let's get to the fact.
I knew you
Listen.
had to have some sort of alternative motive. Is that what it is? You're butthurt about the airplane stuff? You think a missile hit the
No.
Pentagon?
I know that plane that they said hit the Pentagon did not hit the Pentagon.
Really?
Where's the evidence that it did?
The debris of the plane in the Pentagon.
Oh, the debris? Where's the fuselage?
Smashed after going through the wall. There's pieces
Smashed?
of it.
Smashed? The fuselage gets smashed?
Yeah, it hit a building, remember? What do you think it's going to do? Just crumple up like a tin can and come out like a Tom and Jerry cartoon of a perfect fucking
No, I
like,
don't.
tube or
But
something?
what's
What do you
funny
expect it to
about what you do?
What do you expect
is
it to look like?
I make a statement and then you insinuate
I'm
that I
asking
mean
you-
something else, which I haven't even
Okay,
said.
the fuselage
That's a
is
good
in
tactic.
pieces inside the building. There's pieces of it everywhere. It's smashed. What do you expect it to look like?
It's not going to be smashed. The fuselage would not be smashed.
Why? It just ran into a
Why?
building. What's it supposed to do? Shoot out the other side? How's it not going to be smashed?
How's it not? How
Yes.
would it be smashed?
Because it hit a fucking building. That's why it's
Right,
smashed.
I know it hit. You say it hit a building. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is no plane hit the Pentagon. It would have been
Okay, so
physically
you're
and
a
scientifically
no-planer.
impossible
So
for
that's
a
your motivation.
pilot.
Found it out. That's what it is. You're a butthurt no-planer. That's what it is. You're mad at me for saying a plane hit the Pentagon, based on the fact that
you for that. I'm
there are
angry at you
pieces
for
of
being.
the plane
Are
in
you
the
a
Pentagon.
Jew, Dawson?
I'm not Jewish.
Are you an ethnic Jew?
No, I don't have any
Where's
Jewish.
your proof of that you're not? You don't have any Jewish blood in you.
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
Where's your genealogy?
Where's your
have
fucking
you done
proof
a
of your
23andMe
genealogy?
DNA test?
Bust it out.
What?
Where's your genealogical proof?
Hold on a second.
You walk around with that? Are you one of those weirdos that does that shit?
No, I think you're Jewish.
I know who my parents and grandparents and shit are. We don't have any Jewishness in us.
What are you?
Irish and American Indian.
Irish and American Indian. That's funny because Dawson and Dorsey are they're in the same like genealogy as far as it's
That's nice.
It's pretty much the same name as far as Dawson is a derivative of Dorsey. So I don't believe that. I think that you do.
Oh, my
look
granddad
like
came here from Ireland, so.
What's that?
You want to say I'm a Jew now?
I think
That's
you
hilarious. Well, I'm not.
Well, prove it.
I don't know how to prove I'm not a Jew. That's ridiculous.
Like this. Get a 23andMe DNA test, or you can have your genealogical record because you look Jewish.
I don't look Jewish. Look how straight my nose is. I don't know what Jewish
That doesn't
means.
mean anything. That
Nothing
doesn't
means
mean
anything, dude. You're just saying, you look like a Jew. You look like a Jew. You look like a ginger Jew.
But I'm not, and I
well-
can prove it, and you can't.
Well, I don't walk around with 23andMe tests. I don't even live in the United States. I think that's a U.S. company, too. How much did that cost you?
Didn't cost me anything. My parents did it.
Your parents did it. They needed to know if you were their baby or what?
No.
Why is it important to you to know your ethnic background?
Why is it not important? Because of folks like you who pretend to be anti-Jewish, but I believe
I am not
have
anti-Jewish. I'm
genetics.
anti-Zionist.
There you go. I'm anti-Jewish.
That's
This is
not
an
surprising
organized
at all.
Jewish cabal that controls everything. And you work with
Do you
Jews.
think that's a racial teleological
You
thing?
work with Jews. Do you
I
not
don't
work
work with any Jews. I work with all Japanese people.
Hey, listen here. Listen. You were on Renegade Broadcasting 2 years ago with Nick Spiro. Do you remember that?
I do not.
You do not remember being on Renegade Broadcasting with Nick Spiro?
I remember being on Renegade. I thought you said reggae or something like that. I didn't know what you're talking about.
I said Renegade Broadcasting twice with Nick Spiro.
I don't know who he is, but I've been on Renegade.
You don't
I've
know
done
who
a lot
Nick
of fucking
Spiro is.
shows. I don't care if I go on and I've been with Bob Tuskin. He's Jewish. I regularly do podcasts with Michael Bale.
But you don't
who's
work
Jewish.
with any Jews, right?
That's right. I didn't get paid for that.
So you just don't work. So what do you do
Well, if
when
somebody
you're on there?
wants
That's
to
not
interview
work?
me, I'm not going to be like, well, hold on. Are you a Gentile? I can't talk to you unless you're of the correct ethnic category. I don't give a fuck
But
what
it's
the host
not
is.
it's not about that. It's about you say one thing and then you're proven wrong and
I'm
then
not
you say
proven wrong. Being on a show with a Jew is not working for Jews.
working with them. And that's what you said on Renegade. You said, I work with Jews. I've got no problem with that.
I have no problem interviewing people who happen to be Jewish or being interviewed by people who are Jewish. They're not my
So
employers.
you work with Jewish people.
I work with anybody.
You work with Jewish people, and you said you.
That's
you
not
said,
what that implies when you say you work for Jews. It means like Jewish
I've
interests
never
is what you're
said the
implying.
word for. You keep switching it
Whatever.
around.
With Jews, the implication is that you're doing something for a Judaic interest.
You are. You do.
All the Jews on my channel are anti-Zionist Jews, whether it's Norman Finkelstein
You can't
or
be
whoever.
an anti-Zionist Jew.
Yes, you can.
No,
Why
you can't.
not? Zionism is a political ideology.
That's what limited hangout controlled opposition
That's
means.
not limited hangout. That's accurate.
It means the
anybody
fox
can
guarding
be
the hen
against
house.
Zionism. You don't have to be non-Jewish to not agree with what Israel does.
Yeah, it's controlled by Jews on both sides, and you work for them. And
You're saying you
admitted
can't
to
be
working with them.
Are you saying you can't be anti-Zionist unless you're not Jewish?
I mean,
you don't think there are
define
any
Zionist
legitimate? Are you still think
and
there?
define Jewish.
Okay, you can't go against the apartheid of Israel and its racial colonization of Palestine unless you're a non-Jew.
I would say yes. I would say yes to that. I would definitely say yes to that. And I would also say that the problem is not Zionists. The problem is Jews.
Okay.
That's the problem.
So Jews automatically, by genetics or something, are going to support the Israeli state and everything it does.
They benefit from it.
You think it's a
Just
Jewish
like
problem?
You benefit from this criminal system by working for either an aspect of the Japanese government.
Don't work for the government? No.
No, an aspect of the Japanese government.
No, it's not an aspect of the
government. The corporation
government.
you work for doesn't pay taxes?
Okay, if you're going to stretch it to be anything
Education?
that pays taxes
is
is
an
it aspect
college?
of the
is it
government.
A university?
No,
is it
it
public?
Isn't. No. It's a private
Does
institution.
it work with public institutions?
No, it doesn't.
No. Oh, it has no association with public institutions, so it doesn't pay taxes?
It pays taxes. Every private company has to pay taxes. Oh, gotcha. It pays taxes. That's not the same thing as implicated as working for the fucking government. And I'd rather pay taxes in Japan.
Where do taxes go, Ryan? Where do taxes go?
Our taxes go to Tokyo. Where do your taxes go? You don't pay taxes?
Of course I don't pay taxes.
Okay. How are you getting away with that?
That's a long story.
Okay. Well, I didn't pay taxes until I had to.
Yeah, well, you know, when they attempt to make me pay taxes, it doesn't work out for the individuals who attempt to make me pay taxes. Taxes are voluntary here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You knew that, didn't you?
They'll throw you in jail, so I don't think that's voluntary. You can ask Wesley Snipes about it. You have to earn over a certain amount to matter.
As soon as I get Wesley Snipes type money, then I'll worry about going to jail for not paying taxes.
If it's not a lot of money, maybe you can get away with it for a while. But you know, once I've been reported.
I mean, I had registered limited liability corporations in the state of Virginia and didn't pay taxes for years. And when you're familiar with Virginia, aren't you? And then when the tax agents in Richmond came to talk to me about paying my taxes, they turned tail and ran the other way, and then I continued to not pay taxes for years.
You don't pay any federal income tax either?
Never.
Okay.
Not once. So, here's the thing, Ryan. You won't say who you work for.
So?
You won't, because it's the government.
I told you why. It's not the government.
No, it is.
No,
it is the government.
It isn't the government.
It is. Well, then say who it is.
If I worked for the government, I'd have like a 9-to-5 job, and I wouldn't be up at 4 in the morning doing the shit I do.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
How? When am I going to sleep?
What you get paid for. This is what you get paid for.
And what do I get paid for? To speak out against the government? The government's paying me to speak out against the government? I don't even want them to be a federal government. But you don't speak out against the government.
You tell people to vote in elections. And you don't even live in the United States.
I wanted to not have Hillary. So what?
The elections are rigged? Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are controlled by the same Jews?
Donald Trump and Hillary are influenced by the same Zionists, but Trump was not as bad as Hillary.
So why are you promoting one person over another when they're both
Because they're not exactly the same. One was worse than the other.
Oh, wait. Okay, so they're controlled by the same Jews, but...
You're the one saying that.
Are Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton controlled by the same Jews?
They are not controlled by Jews. They are influenced by the same Zionist money. Under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, we actively armed Al-Qaeda.
What do you think about Sheldon Adelson?
He's a fucking Zionist.
Do you think he controls Donald Trump?
I'm not defending Donald Trump. I'm just saying Hillary was worse.
How about Simeon Migalovich? How about Felix Sater?
Whatever. You can keep naming Jewish billionaires all day. It doesn't matter.
I don't know that Felix Sater is a billionaire. I know he's a Jewish mobster.
What?
And you support him.
I don't support any of those people.
Who controls Donald Trump?
I made
Who
a
controls
film.
Donald Trump?
I made a film called Trump's Zionist Ball and Chain, going over the Kushner family and all these other Zionists that control him and influence him. But he was still better than Hillary, because he's not actively arming Al Qaeda in Syria, and she was. That's a difference.
In Syria.
Did you not know that there's a war going on in Syria with ISIS and Al Qaeda fighting against the government?
Have you ever been? I mean, how many times have you been on Press TV?
You say people are limited hangouts. Do you know anything about Syria?
Hey, hold on a second. How many times have you been on Press TV?
Shit, I don't know. 100?
Me too. How many times have you been on Al Alam TV?
Maybe 2.
Okay. I've been on there dozens of times.
Great.
You know why they call me? To talk about Syria. To talk about Syria. To talk about what ISIS actually is. And to talk about what's really going on over there.
Well, were we not arming Al Qaeda?
Don't pretend like you've done more.
So do you don't see any difference?
Because you haven't.
Do you not see any difference between the Obama administration and the Trump administration in Syria?
There's absolutely no difference.
There's a huge difference.
You see, hey, is there a difference between the Russian government and the United States government and the Japanese government and the Israeli government?
Yes.
And all the governments of the world?
Yes.
Is there?
Yeah.
Hey, what is...
Only the Israeli government is actively ethnically cleansing their neighbors and getting away with it.
Who controls the U.S. government?
AIPAC.
AIPAC control the U.S. government?
AIPAC has the largest influence.
So how is there a difference between Israel and the United States government?
Because you added Russia and Japan in that string of shit.
Right.
Russia's opposing
It's not
ISIS.
a string. It's verified already. It's
you
verified
think those
already.
are exactly the same?
So listen here.
So even though Russia's ally, you go on TV and talk about
Who
Syria.
sets the capitalization rates for Russia and China and Japan and Israel and the United States and the European Union and the UK? Who sets the capitalization rates for all those countries?
I want you to answer your question first, because you're ducking out of a situation here by saying those things were all the same. And you said that you're like an expert on Syria because you're on Al-Alam TV or whatever. You don't see a difference between the Russian campaign in Syria versus Israel.
No, they're working together.
So the Russian Air Force taking out Al-Qaeda and keeping Syria... if not for Russia, there wouldn't be a Syria right now. You're saying...
Who coordinates attacks?
For which
Who coordinates
side?
attacks in Syria?
The Assad government and the Russian Air Force.
No, the U.S.,
No.
Saudi Arabia, Russia, yes,
You mean
Israel,
on
yes,
the other
France,
side?
yes, UK.
Russia's
they all
not on
coordinate
that
attacks
team.
together.
Russia is not on that side.
They're coordinating attacks together.
Where's your
What
evidence?
does Russia
What's
do
your
to
evidence
stop
for
any
that?
of those attacks?
What's your evidence for that? Besides your paranoia.
It's not paranoia.
It is paranoia. There's no
mainstream
evidence
media
for
articles.
that. Russia's not spending
last
billions of
time-
dollars to go
the
in a
last
fucking
time
fake fight in
The
Syria.
United States did a major bombing in Syria. What was said? We let the Russians know before we bombed them.
That's right. They didn't want any Russian targets. And they
That's
didn't
coordinating attacks.
No, it's not.
What's the difference?
There's a huge difference. When you're
Okay,
going
so if they're against each other, Russia would know that the attack is coming and how to stop it. But they didn't. They let it go.
They did stop it.
They didn't stop it.
They shot 105 subsonic cruise missiles spread over 10
Where's
targets.
the video? See, here's the difference between you and me.
There was a whole bunch
I have
of
to see
video of that,
evidence
actually.
of something before I believe it. I don't believe anything
You
I
don't
hear
believe
from the
anything
government.
you can't see. You still think a fucking missile hit the Pentagon. And I know that's your prime motive here. You're just
What makes you know that?
I'm
No, my prime motive is pointing out and looking right in your face.
Yes.
When you make eye contact with the camera and you're not shifting around, looking right in your face.
Uh-huh.
And I wish I could do it right to you and pointing and saying,
No, you don't.
You're a government agent. You're a government agent.
Because I say a plane hit the
Because
Pentagon.
you were put in
Just
place.
admit that
You
that's what
got
got you-
money from the
that's what
government
initially got
to
you
go.
all butthurt.
Who pays for you to fly around the world? Who
I
pays for you
don't
to
fly around the world. I go home once a year, and I pay for it.
Okay, isn't Japan on one end of the world and
Yes.
the United States on the
Yes,
other?
and the
Who
world
pays
is
for that?
and the
How
world
much?
is
How do you
round.
have so much money to be able to do that?
I raised that
And
on
you say once
Patreon.
a year. Okay. Was it once a year in 2017? Is it once a year every year since you've been there?
I didn't go at all for 6 years, and then last year I went twice.
Okay. So it's not once a year. You went last year twice.
Oh, I went last
Who
year
paid for
twice,
that?
and I didn't go at all for 6 years
How
in a
much
row.
does that cost, and who paid for that?
I paid for it.
From
The tickets was about $1,500 from Patreon.
$1,500 for a round trip ticket from Japan to the United States.
Yep.
Okay. That seems like a good rate.
It's not a good rate.
It isn't?
No.
No, that's an expensive
You can
rate
get it. You
compared
can get
to
it for
normal.
about
For a round
900
trip
sometimes.
trip from Japan to the United States.
Yes.
Okay. Hey,
Do you fly?
that's fine.
Have you left
I'm
Virginia?
interrogating you, man. You can look exasperated all you want. I mean, you're scratching your face. You're all over
Yeah,
the place.
because it's 4 a.m. and I'm talking to you and you're just saying horse shit. You're like, well, you gotta prove you're not a Jew. Prove you're not working for the government. That's ridiculous.
And you won't say who you work for.
So what? Who do you work for?
I work for myself.
Well, I work for myself now, but initially I worked for a company and I still work there part-time.
You're not employed. You worked for a company initially.
Yeah, when I first came to Japan I did, and now I work for myself, but I'm going back to this company in July. I'm doing and I'm teaching economics for a certain course for a certain company. And I owe it to them because they were good to me in the beginning, so I'm not going to throw their name out there because they're going to catch shit for it.
So you're saying you work for somebody, but now you're saying you don't work for them now. You work for them in July, and you worked for them before.
You asked me who paid for the trip when I initially went to Japan, and that's who I was working for at that
time.
No.
I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in who you work for. Who do you work for?
I work for myself. You can go look at my Patreon and stuff. That's how I raise money. Patreon and selling films and selling T-shirts, things like that.
Right, but you keep shifting. You ended up in Japan because, yes, you did.
I went to Japan 10 years ago, dude.
Okay. To work for a company.
Yep.
What's that company?
That company's none of your fucking business because I'm still going to be working for that company next month.
So when did you stop working?
I've said this like 5 times. I stopped working for them, let's see, about 3.5 years ago. Once I
you worked there for about
basically.
6.5 years, and then you're going back to work for them in July.
No, I worked for them for 3 years. Then I went back to the U.S. for a couple of years, and then I went back to Japan, and I worked at another place, and then I got a job at my original place. And then I started working for myself and scaled my original job down to part-time, which is how it is right now. And next month I'm going to work for them again.
So you're still working part-time for this company?
Yes, my last stint is this July.
Why can't you give a straight answer? What is the company?
I'm not telling you the company's name. It's a company in Japan that I work for.
How did you end up in Japan?
Business.
How did you end up in Japan?
This company paid for me to come do a job in Japan, and I wanted to go to Japan after George Bush got reelected. I was right out of college. It seemed like a good salary.
What
so
company?
Like, let's
Some
go.
random company just said, hey, this guy Ryan Dawson, let's hire him. Right?
No, obviously, I put out fucking resumes and shit before I moved somewhere.
Man, you can't make eye contact. What are you looking at on the ground?
I'm picking up the wire under my feet.
Yeah, I mean, you're always
doing to places in Korea,
you're nervous, you're lying,
I'm not lying. It's like 90 degrees in my room and it's 4 in the morning, and you're a fucking missile tard, and you can't get over where I'm going to work, and I'm not telling you where I work.
You're the only one that's used the word missile. You're the only one that's used the word missile.
It's not a plane. What hit the Pentagon then?
What makes you think anything hit the Pentagon?
Because there's a big fucking hole in it full of airplane debris and passengers.
Couldn't be explosives from the inside?
Do you think there were explosives in the Pentagon that blew up and turned into airplanes?
I'm not saying that. You're just saying that it had to be either a missile or a plane, or you're insinuating that.
I'm pretty fucking sure you're a missile person. What do you think hit the Pentagon?
See, again, what do you think hit the Pentagon?
I think Flight 77
is evidence. I need to see evidence before I can say one way or the other what happened. And there's no evidence that a plane hit it.
Well, there's debris of the plane in there. There's DNA of
What
all the
about
passengers at
the
Walter
people
Reed
who
in there.
say that on the
There's
inside, the
144
Pentagon, who
witnesses of
worked
it.
at the Pentagon, that said that there was some explosion from the inside? What about those individuals?
What about it? I'm sure there were explosions after a plane hit, and there's like 44,000 gallons of fucking fuel in the building. Things are gonna blow up. So what? There's pieces of the plane in the building. There's engines and fucking landing gear and stuff in the building. It's Flight 77.
Yeah, I don't know. Folks on the live chat, they're not convinced.
They just fake all the DNA of the passengers and dental records and stuff at Walter Reed. They just got all the EMTs and firemen and police all in on it, all to lie to everybody. And then what happened to Flight 77?
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Yeah, everyone's lying. And what happened to the original plane? Everyone saw it go to the Pentagon.
Plane? You tell me what happened to it, man.
It hit the
I
building.
see no evidence that it was destroyed. I see no evidence that it could have possibly hit that building.
It's all, but everyone sees it go to the Pentagon. No one sees it fly away from the Pentagon. So where did it go?
But that's just not true, what you're saying.
Where did
People
it go?
saw it fly away from the Pentagon. I mean, there's countless numbers of individuals who have seen that. Look, man, I must tell you that there's an entire video that dwarfs your view count.
Disinformation agent. I don't think you're working for anyone. I think you're just a useful idiot. You found stuff like loose change and bullshit like that and CTI or whatever the fucking thing is, and you decided,
I don't pay any attention to that loose change
nonsense. To the Pentagon, but it couldn't have been Flight 77. You want to know why Flight 77 matters? Because that leads a paper trail back to the United States government and Saudi government working in collusion. If you don't have the hijackers in the
government?
Plane, yes.
Look, the Saudis are ethnic Jews, right? The Saudi royal family are ethnic Jews. Is that
Some
correct
of them might
or
be.
incorrect?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I thought they were Arab.
They are.
Okay.
They are. According to them.
Okay.
How do you not know that?
I don't believe that. You think everybody bad is a Jew?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And I don't think you're 100% a Jew, but I think you've got Jewish blood in you.
Well, I don't have any Jewish blood in me.
Prove it.
I don't know how to prove it.
I
don't have any Jewish blood. I've never said that or anything. Everybody's like...
It's very easy not to prove it. And I'll tell you one thing right here.
People do not walk around with M23andMe sheets saying, here's my ethnic background.
You asked me to prove it, and I grabbed something, and I proved it.
I didn't know you were lunatic enough to have like, had your parents check your genetic record.
I didn't have them check it.
They did it on their own and gave you a copy, right? For what purpose? You didn't know who your great-grandparents were or something? You had to check?
No, I'll read them out right now. Can you
care
tell me who your great-grandparents are?
Yeah, I met them. They were still alive when I was born.
Here's my great-great-grandparent, John W. Dorsey, Jacob O. Butterball, Frederick Ludwig, William Faulkner Shoebridge, Jacob Gruber, Franklin Clopper, Zopher Pasco Brandt, Joseph H. Taylor.
Is there some point?
You can find out everything from me.
I was asking, had you not just met your parents and great-grandparents and so on? You never got to meet them, so you needed a test?
I'm saying that you're a Jew and that you are hiding that fact and that you might not even know about it, but you certainly
I'm
look
not
like...
Jewish. We were raised Christian, by the way. I'm an
atheist. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about ethnic Jews.
I'm not an ethnic Jew. I don't think there were any Jews on our island, in fact. I never met a Jew till I was like 14.
On your island?
Yes, I'm from an island.
Buxton?
Yes.
Right.
Buxton's a town on the island.
And your family has been there since when? You say you're Native American.
They've been there since at least the 1580s.
1580s.
I'm sure they were there before that, but there are no written records.
So part of the lost colony.
There is no lost colony. The lost colony went to Croatoan. Lost colony is a play.
That's your ancestors, huh?
No, the lost colony's not my ancestors. Just
no. The ones that went to
Croatoan. It's possible that they could be ancestors, but
well, you said 1580. Who else? What other?
The English... Indians were there the entire time.
Well, of course they were. Of course they were. But what other English were there other than the so-called lost colony, which... That's fine. That's just what everybody calls it.
The lost colony that you're talking about from Roanoke had been to Hatteras 4 times before they went to Roanoke. And when they wrote Croatoan
So
on the
you say
Palisade,
1580. You say your
Yes, let's just say
European
that is-
ancestors have been
okay.
there since 1580.
I'm saying that I know the names of my ancestors up to that point just by asking my great-grandparents who were your great-grandparents, who were their great-grandparents, like that. That's all we know. The oldest one we know only
Well, how
has
about
one
some names
name, was
then?
Re, R-E-A, and the reason we had a written record through the 1700s and stuff is because we're related to Charles Hasker and Edward Thatch. And other people did the genealogy of Blackbeard.
What's the first and last name of who you're related to? And I mean, because people make all sorts of claims. So
First and last name of who I'm related to? Everybody I'm related to? Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not.
I'm not telling you all my relatives. They don't agree with my politics, and that would start some shit for them.
Yeah. Likely story. Okay.
Story.
You won't say what government front group that you're employed by.
Group, you dipshit.
You admit that you think that the elections are not rigged, and that you admit that you advocated folks voting for Donald Trump.
I advocated voting against Hillary.
What does that mean?
In the primaries, the first person
No.
I'm going to give you an answer.
A bunch of
the
nonsense
first thing was Lincoln
BS.
Chaffee.
Hey, listen, buddy.
And Rand Paul.
Listen.
What?
Hey, when I say you advocated people vote for Donald Trump, and you say I advocated people vote against Hillary Clinton, what does that mean? Does that mean vote for a third party?
There's a nuance there, because it's saying voting for Donald Trump doesn't mean you support Donald Trump's positions. It means you think they're not as bad as Hillary. And there's a difference between not being as bad as Hillary and actively thinking Trump is going to be some awesome fucking president or something. And you know there's a difference.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
They're both the same.
They're not, because you know what you're getting. I wasn't someone saying, oh, Trump's going to build a big wall and end all the wars and blah, 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 blah. I said he's a Zionist piece of shit.
Trump moved the capital
the
of Israel to Jerusalem.
No, he did not move the capital. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. That does not
You don't think I know that? He moved the capital.
You said it wrong. He didn't move the capital. The United States can't move the capital of another country.
They did.
No, they moved an embassy. The capital is still Tel Aviv.
I know.
Every other embassy is still in Tel Aviv. The U.S. can't dictate to the world what the capital is.
It seems that they did.
Well, it seems that you're wrong, because they didn't move the capital. People were worried about
I know
that.
they moved the embassy.
Yes,
but
they
that's
did.
Moving the capital.
No,
the United
it isn't.
States, it's tantamount to that.
No, it's tantamount to the United States saying that they think this is the capital. The rest of the world community still has their embassies in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is the capital. The government buildings are still in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv's the capital.
Do you know
the
anything
U.S.
about the
embassy does not
for the
dictate
United
the
States?
capital.
And let's talk about the Constitution. And I don't want to keep you up
Let's
too
quit
late, but
changing
let's talk
the
about the
subjects,
Constitution.
because you keep moving around. I think what motivated you to get all mad at me in the first place is me saying playing at the Pentagon.
Dude, look, I'm on the phone with you, and you can try to misrepresent what's going on.
I'm not misrepresenting jack shit. You just said they moved the capital.
That doesn't have any relevance, because you and I are talking right now.
You've been
so
wrong
why are
on
you
every
making up
point
stuff?
you've made, dude. You talked about answering Code Pink and shit. You didn't know that wasn't what was going on. You called me a government agent, which I'm not. You called me a Jew, which I'm not.
Let's stop right there.
You won't talk about the
Pentagon.
Pentagon.
Ryan.
You said Russia and Japan's government's the same as Israel and the United States. You're wrong on everything. You've been wrong on everything you brought up. And you're the one bringing it up.
Listen. Who is the lender of last resort for Russia, United States, China,
I
Israel?
believe I already answered
Who
this
sets the capitalization rates?
I believe I already answered that for you earlier. And
So
you're
how
trying
are
to
they
change
not
the
the
subject.
same thing if they're all controlled by the same monetary source?
That
Why
doesn't
does
give
the
you
United
total
States and
control
Russia
over a
do
country's foreign
joint
policy.
military operations together? Why does
Putin
China
offered
and the
to
United
do
States
military
do
operations
joint
together
military
against
operations?
ISIS? The United States wanted nothing to do with it because they were covertly financing them the entire time. And now they're not. And now ISIS has lost. They're about to lose Dada. They're
You
going
mean the
to
Israeli
lose.
Secret Intelligence Service? You think
They're
they're
not the
losing? They
Israeli secret
destroyed Syria.
intelligence.
That was their plan.
Yeah, no, it was Oded Yanan's plan from the 80s, but ISIS is not the Israeli.
Greater Israel Project. The Greater Israel Project, yeah.
That's what I
You
just
can call
said.
it the Yunan plan, but
Because it is.
it's the Greater Israel Project.
And what's the plan to get the Greater Israel?
I mean, that's just like saying 8200 versus Talpiot. It's the same thing. Just like saying that there's a difference between the United States government and Russia when they coordinate attacks.
I think there's a difference between the United States and Russia.
Drills together. Why are Russian military
You're
training
so
inside the United
stupid.
States?
You don't even know how bad you're exposing yourself. Like you're saying.
Why do you have to say that?
You called me a Zionist. I do anti-Zionist work every day. When have I ever promoted Zionism?
Controlled opposition. The best way to
how is it controlled opposition?
Lead it ourselves.
Most people know about the Israeli role in 9/11 because of me.
That's BS.
That is not BS.
That's you.
The first person to put a film out about it, the first person to write about it. I was the first person to put it out there, and I know more about it than anyone else too.
Oh, hey, you ever heard of Robert Bowman?
Yeah.
Do you think you knew Israel did 9/11 before he did?
Yes.
You do. You too.
I think I proved it.
Well, why would you think that you knew Israel did 9/11 before Robert Bowman?
Because I was looking into PNAC before 9/11 happened.
What's that?
I was looking into PNAC before 9/11 happened, serendipitously.
Oh, you don't think he knew about Project for a New American Century?
He wasn't saying anything about it till after 9/11.
Uh-huh. Oh, he wasn't?
No, he wasn't.
How do you know?
If he did, I've never seen it. And you always like to prove a negative. If you can show some work where he's talking about PNAC prior to 2001, go for it.
Okay, I definitely will look into that.
Yeah,
I don't know for a fact, number one,
I don't
know for a fact that he did, but number two, look, you said he didn't, and you don't even know.
I'm saying I never saw any work by it, and if I don't think he did.
That's fine. That's different from saying that he did not.
Well, if you're saying somebody told the world about the Israeli role in 9/11 and he doesn't have anything published about it, then it doesn't really matter what he thought privately or what have you.
Why? He told me privately. He told me privately. So, and it wasn't private. It was at a meeting with other individuals in person. Not off in Japan hiding behind flags. Hey, here's another thing. I don't see the Confederate flag back there, buddy. Where's the Confederate flag?
There's a Confederate flag right there.
Okay, here's the next question. Do you have ancestors who fought for the Confederacy?
I have ancestors that fought on both sides, actually.
Okay, what are their names?
Actually, one of them fought for the North and then changed sides.
Names.
His name was, ironically, Christopher Columbus Mueller.
Christopher Columbus Mueller.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Columbus Mueller. Okay, good.
He fought for the North, and when he found out what Sherman was doing, he switched sides and fought for the South.
Okay. All right.
Charles Hasker helped invent the Hunley submarine. He's one of my relatives as well. And he started a box company in Richmond.
Hey,
it is awesome.
Good information. That's good to know. So we've already established that you are hiding who pays your way.
No, I'm not hiding who pays my way. I'm just not telling you who my current employer is.
What's the difference?
Because, dude, last time first of all, when people Google my name and shit, they call me a Holocaust denier and crap. So it's very hard for me to find a job anywhere in the United States.
So, I mean, do you believe that the Holocaust happened?
Denier.
Maybe we'll agree on something. Do you believe that the Holocaust killed 6 million Jewish people?
No, I don't. And everyone knows
I don't either.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Do you know that there were many, many Jews that served in the National Socialist Army?
There were Jewish generals in the Nazi Party.
Of course. Uh-huh. So all this stuff about the Holocaust is nonsense.
It's not all nonsense.
Okay, what? 30,000 people died of typhus. That seems to be the most accurate. I mean, I
think
wasn't there.
A lot more than 30,000
The most
died
accurate
from
record.
typhus.
30,000 Jews died in concentration camps as a result of typhus.
No, I don't agree with
No?
that figure.
Where am I off? Please correct me. Then.
You're off by at least a zero.
300,000.
A lot of people
whose record is
who are
that?
starving
I'm
to
talking
death.
about the Red Cross. I'm talking about the Red Cross record.
Only
I'm
inspected
not vouching for it.
I know
I'm just
what
saying,
you're going. I know the Red Cross report talking about 300,000 to 400,000.
So where is that wrong, smart
Because
guy?
the Red Cross did not inspect any of the camps in the East. They only had access to the 16 in the West. And everybody in the official story knows that they're talking about Belzec and Sobibor. Majdanek, Auschwitz, Birkenau, and Treblinka is where most of the killing and dying happened, not in the West.
Killing?
Yeah, they shot some of them and stuff.
Of course.
But the Red Cross report doesn't include any of those camps. So the number has to be a lot higher than 300,000. It's not like 300,000 died here and then 0 died in all the other places.
But I said 30,000, not 300,000.
Fine, that's even dumber because the Red Cross report has 300,000.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
Hey, I like to verify everything.
You can verify it later.
Okay. Maybe somebody who's watching live can verify now live the Red Cross records on how many people died, how many Jews died in concentration camps. So, again, you won't say who you work for. You somehow are a geopolitical analyst and end
not
up
just somehow
in Japan. You say you're an economist, but you don't seem to know that much about how the world economy works.
Economics. I answered all your questions on that shit. You just keep going to that to avoid. Every time you're in a corner, you just change the subject. We're talking about the Pentagon.
Where am I in a corner? I don't. There's no corners I could possibly be in.
What happened in the
Nobody
Pentagon?
can corner me.
What happened?
It's impossible.
I'm cornering you now. What happened in the Pentagon?
What happened in the Pentagon?
Are you saying that all the plane debris is fake? Like they just planted pieces of a Boeing 757 there?
What I'm saying is that it is impossible for what you say, which is the official story,
it's
to
not
have
the official
happened.
Story.
It is the official story.
No, it isn't.
You advocate the official story.
I do not advocate the official story. Saying airplanes hit the buildings is not the official story.
What buildings? We're talking about the Pentagon.
Well, there were also airplanes rammed into buildings in New York.
We're not talking about New York. You said the Pentagon.
So they used airplanes in New York.
How does your Pentagon story differ from the official story?
So you're
How
saying
does your Pentagon story differ from the official story?
Because they allowed them to do it, and they didn't shoot it down on purpose. That Al-Hazmi and Al-Midhar were living with a Saudi informant that the CIA had followed them all the way from an Al-Qaeda summit meeting in Malaysia and didn't inform the FBI?
You're talking about in San Diego. Well, what about the alleged reports of the NSA also being in contact in Maryland?
It's my question. So you're saying planes were used in New York, but they didn't use a plane in Washington?
No, I'm not saying that. Did you hear me say that?
Did you hear me say that? I'm asking you. Do you think there were planes in New York? I'm asking.
You don't have to hear me say something for you to make something up.
I'm not making it up. I'm asking you now. I said, do you?
But you said that. That's not a question.
Do you think airplanes were used in New York?
Do I think airplanes were used in New York?
Do you think airplanes
I think that there were airplanes used.
Okay.
I think no airplanes hit the Pentagon. I think that Flight 77 did not hit the Pentagon. That's what I think.
So airplanes were used in New York, but not in Washington.
I think the airplanes were used everywhere. Whether they hit buildings or not, that's a different question.
Okay, did an airplane run into the World Trade Center?
You tell me.
Yes, it did. What do you think?
Okay. A plane didn't hit the Pentagon.
So you don't want to say a plane hit the World Trade Center? Are you agnostic?
What I'm saying is we're talking about the Pentagon. I know who did 9/11. I didn't need you to tell me. Once you know who did 9/11,
I already know
then you realize that the government must be abolished because it's 100% criminal. Have you ever read Constitution for the United
government
States?
Without 9/11, just from all the stupid wars and other dumb shit?
Have you ever read Constitution for the United States?
Yes, I've read the Constitution. Do you think an airplane hit the World Trade Center?
Are you saying you don't want to discuss the Constitution? Do you have a problem with the Constitution?
You're changing the subject. Answer the question. Do you think an airplane hit the World Trade Center? You don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. What do you think happened at the World Trade Center?
Well, there was definitely a controlled demolition. That's all I need to know.
So you don't know whether or not an airplane...
I know that there was a controlled demolition at the World Trade Center.
Okay. These are controlled demolition.
Of 3 buildings that fell into their own footprint.
More than 3. Or I guess what happened to the other buildings?
No. Only 3 that fell into their own footprint. Only 3 that fell into their own footprint.
World Trade Center 6 didn't fall into its own footprint?
No, it didn't. It was brought down after it was mostly demolished.
So you believe in controlled demolition, but you're not sure whether or not a plane hit the building.
Look, I'm sure of a controlled demolition.
This is your corner.
That's what I'm sure of.
So you're not sure.
You say that more than 3 buildings fell into their own footprint. That is factually incorrect.
No, it isn't.
I'm not going to say anything factually incorrect.
Are you unsure about airplanes hitting the World Trade Center?
I am not unsure about anything when it comes to the Constitution for the United States, the fact that was planned for 30 years according to the planners, and the fact that buildings fell into their own footprint. What difference does it make? What difference does the rest of it make?
It matters because you seem like a fucking idiot. There's all this film of airplanes running into the buildings. Do you think that was all fake?
Do I think that it was all fake?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
So,
not necessarily.
You're not really sure whether a plane hit the World Trade Center or not.
How many times do I have to say the same thing? Like, I see what you're doing.
I have to ask because you won't answer. You can't say, okay, I don't know.
I'm not certain about anything except for the fact that 3 buildings fell at free fall speed into their own footprints.
I'm absolutely
certain. You say Building 6 did that, and it's incorrect.
I'm absolutely certain. No, I'm not wrong. I'm absolutely certain that airplanes ran into the World Trade Centers. How did Building 7 fall into its own
footprint when it was partially damaged and then demolished after the fact?
Probably they blew out the core columns.
Right, but that means it didn't fall into its own footprint at free fall speed, which is what we're talking about. That's been established.
You just said it did. You just said Building 7. Did you mean something else?
Building 7 did. Building 6 did not.
Go look at an aerial photograph of them. They fall. They don't timber over like this. They go straight down.
Building 6 did not because it had to be demolished after 9/11.
There's a little donut section of it left on the sides, I suppose, but the whole thing went down in the middle and didn't timber over. Building 7 also had pieces of another building fall on top of it and was missing the southwest corner and was allowed to burn for 8 hours. I just wanted you on record saying you're not sure whether or not airplanes ran into the World Trade Centers. Are you one of these Judy Woods people?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know anything
so you
about
do have a limit. Your paranoia has a limit. You're not on board with justification and stuff. Do you admit that the core columns still existed after the collapse, or do you think they disappeared?
Hey Ryan, let's get something real straight.
Know.
Hey, how about this? Before we go on, and I'll definitely dispose and finish with you very soon, but next time you're in the United States, let's get together face to face.
Okay.
Let's have the public there. We'll do it in Virginia, and what you say is meaningless because you're in Japan. It's meaningless what you say.
I'm going to the United States.
Japan is occupied by the United States government.
That's
military.
Great. July 25th.
Right.
I'll be in D.C., but I'm going to North Carolina, which is where I live.
Well, you know what?
You're welcome to come to Buxton.
Let's do it in Manteo.
I guess you can come to Manteo. It's about an hour away.
Okay. Or Buxton. But how about this?
Yeah, why not Buxton? That's where we're going to be.
Well, how about this? Let's do it in Chesapeake, because that's in Virginia. Or Virginia Beach.
I'm not going to Va Beach or Chesapeake. I'm not even going to have a car. I'm going to be in Buxton with my family, and you can come there or not.
How about this? Either you meet me somewhere where the Constitution still partially applies. I don't make any public appearances unless I'm armed. So
Okay.
I'm certainly not going to go to North Carolina where the Constitution does not apply.
You can have a gun in Buxton.
Fair enough. That's fine.
Why would you think North Carolina is against the Second Amendment?
Is it an open carry state?
I don't know. You can look it up. But I know Buxton doesn't give a shit.
Well, that must be that North Carolina is open carry, which I'm not aware that's the case. I know Virginia is.
I think Virginia is. I'm not sure whether Carolina is or not. I've never owned a gun, never cared. I support the right to own guns, but
so that's
I just never gave a shit.
Okay, number one, I'll tell you something. Number one, anybody who is not armed, their opinion means nothing. Their opinion means absolutely nothing.
I never said I wasn't armed. I just said I didn't buy guns.
Anyone who's not armed with a gun, unless they have weaponized drones or a more powerful weapon, their words mean nothing. So when I go and confront all these criminal government officials, I'm armed with a camera and a gun.
Okay. Well, I like crossbows because they're quiet and you can't trace them.
Do you know what the basis of our government is? Do you know the only thing necessary to a free state, according to the Constitution for the United States?
Violence.
Not exactly, but
the ability
to wield violence.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that not the basis of all government?
Yeah, I know it is. I'm not a fan of government. I don't know why you think I would be. Oh, that's right, because you think I work for one.
So either one has control over the weapons of war or one is a slave.
I totally support the Second Amendment. You don't have to preach to me. You're preaching to the choir.
No, because you don't comprehend it. That means the body of the people. What does it mean then? It doesn't mean that I can just, have my 9mm on me at all times, obviously. Mm-hmm. It means much more than that. It's much more important than that. What does the Second Amendment mean?
It gives you the right to stand up to tyranny because you'll have the armed means to challenge the government even though they have tanks and helicopters and nuclear weapons.
No. It means that the body of the people have control over the weapons of war. It doesn't mean...
We don't.
Of course we don't. That's the only problem with the government. Not any of the other things. The only problem is they have the ability to wage war against the people, which is the only thing that government does. Government does not do anything else but wage war against the people. Do you disagree?
The U.S. government doesn't do anything but that, and
what
it
government
wages war
does?
On foreign policy.
Does the U.S. government occupy Japan? Who's in charge of Japan?
No, they do not occupy Japan.
Oh, really? The U.S. government, they left Okinawa? There's no military bases over there anymore.
Okinawa. That's not occupying Japan. That's occupying Okinawa in agreement. Japan.
Is Japan not in agreement? Oh, Japan agrees. Oh, yeah, please. You love having the U.S.
Some of them do and some of them don't.
Some of them do and some of them don't.
They like having U.S. forces
Didn't one of the prime ministers resign because he said he was going to kick the U.S. out and then he didn't?
No.
So, no?
No.
That didn't happen?
No, none of the
None
of the prime ministers have resigned over kicking the U.S. out. I think you're talking about Okinawan mayor, probably Noda. It might be who you're thinking of. All the prime
ministers.
There
were big protests against. Were there not big protests against U.S. occupation in Japan?
Yes, there are protests against the base expansions in Okinawa.
The U.S. occupation of Japan.
They're not occupying Okinawa. They're there because of the North Korean threat.
Are they there? What? They're not occupying it.
They're not passing laws against Japanese people. They're not like telling them where they can go and not go.
They don't need to. They don't need to. Look, man. Hey, it's no offense. My mom lived in Japan when she was a child.
Okay.
When she was a child, and they've been occupying it ever since. During the beginning of the occupation of Japan, and did the American military ever leave?
They certainly occupied Japan after World War II.
No.
Having a base in Okinawa
when did the United States
is not
military leave Japan?
Japan. You know, just talking louder doesn't mean anything, dude.
I know it doesn't mean anything, but what I'm saying does.
Can't be
so
calm.
When did the United States leave Japan? When did the United States military leave Japan?
The U.S. military is still in Okinawa. It is not an occupation force.
What's the difference?
Well, when you have an occupation, then the occupation power is in control of your country and setting the laws and so on. They're not doing that. They have a base in Okinawa. Like they have a base in Guam.
Right, and they have
South
other
Korea.
people, they have other individuals do their work for them.
They have like 30,000 people, period. It's a tripwire base.
But that's just not even true. I have friends of mine that served in the Navy that weren't in Okinawa, but were in Japan.
There's one in Okinawa and one in Misawa. So what? Are they occupying and passing laws from the Tokyo Diet? No. They're not occupying Japan.
Okay.
We don't have soldiers
so
running
first
around
you
the
say,
streets in
okay,
Osaka.
so they are occupying, they have 2 bases there.
That's not an occupation.
Are there more than 2 bases there? How many U.S. military bases are in Japan?
I don't know, more than 2, but those are the 2 big ones.
More than 2. Okay. So there's many or numerous, more than 2 U.S. bases in Japan.
There's more than 2 in Okinawa.
And wait a second. How long has the U.S. military had a presence in Japan?
Since Matthew Perry, probably.
Okay. How about we talk about the 20th century and the 21st century?
Well, then since World War II.
Okay.
Having a base
so the U.S. has been occupying, as I
country.
said, the U.S. has been occupying Japan since 1945.
That's not a military occupation of the country. There's a big difference between being...
How many Japanese bases are in the United States?
0. Japan doesn't have any bases
How many Japanese bases are in China?
None. So?
Okay.
There are no American bases in China either. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the U.S. and China do joint military operations all the time.
So?
So? They're one and the same.
That does not make them one and the same.
The Bank for International Settlements is the financer of all the governments of the world and controls all the militaries of the world. Do you disagree with that?
I disagree.
Do you? You don't think that there's a one world government?
No, I don't think there's one government running
What do you
the
call
world.
the United Nations?
A body of a bunch of different governments that can't agree on anything.
So, when Leon Panetta, who was formerly head of the CIA and also Secretary of Defense, is testifying before Jeff Sessions, now the Attorney General, and he says this, which is flying in complete contradiction to the U.S. Constitution. We take our orders from international bodies, NATO and the United Nations. And we further do not take orders from the Congress of the United States, the representatives of the people. So, who has the most powerful military in the world?
The United States.
Okay. So, according to what's available to the public, testimony in front of the Senate, were you aware of, and it doesn't matter whether you're aware of it or not, because it happened, when the Secretary of Defense says, who do we take our orders from, what does he reply?
They're talking about international bodies in NATO and the UN, but that's not true because every conflict we've ever gotten in has come from the U.S. That's the reason we don't have boots on the ground in Syria, because Congress wouldn't sign off on it.
Okay, so why did the United Nations come into existence?
If the UN was all powerful, how many UN resolutions have they passed against the Israeli occupation of Palestine which get ignored because of the United States?
Yeah, but what about the fact that UN is a Jewish organization and the UN is the reason the state of Israel exists?
Is passing resolutions against Israel.
So what? They also created it.
Yeah, it was a UN
They created
mandate.
the state of Israel.
Yes, they did.
Right.
Israel created itself through force, and the UN allowed it.
Everything in human history is done through force when it comes to politics and government.
The UN has no ability to enforce jack shit without the United States. That's why they are a permanent UN Security Council member, and they can veto down anything they don't want. So it's like you have an international body that can make laws unless the U.S. disagrees, then you can't do it.
Well, according to...
who's in charge?
Who's in charge? Well, we've already established the Jews are in charge. Are the Jews not in charge?
Well, if the U.S. is the one running the UN and Israel's running the U.S., then Israel's in charge.
Why? Okay. Is Israel not Jews?
Israel is mostly Jews, but there's a difference between saying
okay,
Jews.
Okay.
There's other Jews that aren't part of that. You can't just say the Jews. That's like calling the...
I did just
it's like calling America the whites or something. That's retarded.
How is that the same? Jews and whites are not the same. Are they?
America
do you think Jews and whites are the same?
Do you think America is the whites? Because it's majority white?
America, it's not really that much of a majority anymore, but yes, America was founded by Western Europeans.
So everything America's done is something that the whites did?
It's based on, what is it based on? What is America? What is the United States government? It's the Constitution. Is that incorrect?
The Constitution is the Constitution, and there's a lot more to the government than the Constitution.
That's the basis. No,
the Constitution is the rules set on what the government can and can't do. But the government
the rules
itself,
for our servants,
the
not
government
your
itself
servant,
is
our
not
servant.
a race of people. It's not a racial teleology.
Nobody said it was. Nobody said it was.
I just
it was founded by Western Europeans.
Yeah.
Based on what? Based on what? What is the Constitution based on?
But you're implying that Israel is composed of Jews.
What is the Constitution based on?
Jews.
What is the? I'm not implying anything. What is the Constitution based on?
It's based on the ideology of the people who wrote it. They believed in inalienable rights.
Which is what? Which is what?
A series of inalienable rights and a division of powers between legislative and executive and judiciary branches in the form of a republic.
Based on what? You're missing
based
everything.
On their philosophy of having a republican form of government.
Which is who came up with that philosophy? And what
John
country?
Locke, I guess. If you want to go back, we could go.
Locke,
you could go back to ancient Greeks who had the same kind of systems. You have the American Indians who had a confederate system because the Articles of Confederation predated the. Yes, they did. The Articles of Confederation predated the U.S. government in its current form.
Yes, of course it did.
And the Confederates...
It didn't predate the U.S. government. It's the first official constitution of the U.S. government.
And where do Articles of Confederate... Where does the Confederate form of government come from?
Right. Are you going to tell me, or do I have to tell you?
I'm asking you.
You're asking me. English common law. That's what everything about the United States is based on. English common law.
Okay.
And the writings of John Locke.
Yeah, John Locke is part of the philosophical pursuit of property.
And at that point of time in history, the #1 scholar and authority on English common law is John Locke.
Do you have
late 17th century?
Do you have a point in this?
My point is that this is, when you say, oh, that's like saying America is a white country, I'm saying it is a country based on the European common law, specifically the English common law, and that is based on the idea that the body of the people
Yes.
control authority over government
The good and bad
through
things
the
that the United
control
States has
of the
done.
weapons of war.
That's nice. The good and bad things that the government has done is not something you can blame or take credit for as being part of whiteness.
Nobody said that.
But you can say that
Western
about Jews
European
in Israel.
English common law.
That's
That
nice.
is different than quote-unquote
So
whiteness.
because
Jews
Israel
call
is composed
themselves
of
white.
Jews, then it's, everything it does is the Jews, right?
Jews are at the top. They are not exclusive to the crime, but they are the ones directing it. Do you disagree?
There are a lot of evil Jews in high places
Wait
of
a
power.
second. Do they disproportionately direct the crimes, or do they not?
They do, but that is not the Jews.
Okay. How so? How is that not?
I mean,
Jews
it's like saying, well,
disproportionately direct
it's
the
like,
crimes.
let me think of something that an idiot can understand. Who does most murders in the United States?
A majority of homicides are not committed by I would say they're committed mostly. The highest percentages is African Americans.
No, the highest percentages are by males, by men. Right? Men kill people more than women.
African American men, then.
Just fine,
So
whatever.
what?
It's men. So men do most of the killing.
Hold
But
on.
You don't say that's the men, because there are all these men who don't kill anyone. There's a little portion of men doing all the killing, way more than women do. That doesn't mean the men are killers. And because there are Jews in central banks, etc., media, blah, 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 that's not the Jews. That's those Jews.
It is the Jews.
Oh my God.
It is the Jews.
It's just the males. Men
here's
just
what
murder and they can't
here's
help
what
it.
we advocate for, and here's my proof and my final proof that you're a government agent.
You haven't
Number
had any
one,
proof.
Yeah, it's all been proof. You
haven't had any proof.
Who you're getting paid by.
Look, you won't tell me
You
who
hide
you
who
work
you're
for. I
employed
told
by.
you I work for myself, and when I first came
Just
to
say
Japan,
who
I
you're
worked for a
employed
company.
by. All you have to do is say who you're employed by.
I employ myself right now, and I'm going to work for a company next month.
But we've already established that you don't employ yourself.
Yes,
that you've
you
been
haven't.
Working
I employ
on and
myself.
off for the same company, and that in
I
less
haven't
than
worked for
30
this
days'
company in
time,
like 3
you'll be
years.
employed by them again.
Yeah, I'm going to be working for them next month. Because they didn't have someone to do my job other than me, so I'm going in to do it.
That's usually how employment works.
I've been working for myself for 3.5 years.
We can go back through and listen and parse every single word. I know that you don't like when people do
I'm
that.
not going to throw my employers under the bus and say, oh, a Holocaust denier works for his company.
Or you're not going to expose yourself by saying who paid you money.
I'm not a Holocaust denier. I don't consider not saying 6 million denial. But I am not going to say that because that company would get in trouble for it.
Okay. So what we know is that America is based on...
If I had a government paycheck, I wouldn't have to sell T-shirts and shit. If I was working for the government...
That means nothing.
If I was working for the government, I wouldn't be saying anti-government shit every day. And you're like, oh, that's controlled opposition. How?
I'll explain to you right now. Let me explain it to you then. Let me explain it to you. Okay. The government is engaged in war against the people. Correct? I mean, do you agree or disagree?
The government's at war with more than just the United States people. They kill a lot of foreigners.
The people of the world.
Sure.
The United States government, the UN, Israel, and all the governments of the world are engaged in war against all the people of the world.
Not all the governments in the world, but definitely the United States.
Yes,
and Israel.
all of them. All of them that are controlled by the Bank for International Settlements.
Okay. Just get to your point.
Who finances the Russian army?
Just get to your point.
No. Who finances the Russian army?
Russia.
The Bank for International Settlements.
They don't have to get loans for the BIS to finance the army.
Who sets the capitalization rates?
The BIS.
Right, and Ernst & Young for Russia, a City of London company, sets the monetary policy in every way, including military, for Russia and every other country, except for Iran and North Korea, which they control indirectly.
Iran has a central bank, so does North Korea.
Right.
Iran's
And they're not
central bank just
signatories
had
to the
it.
Third
No.
Basel Accord. And they're not signatories to the Third Basel Accord. But they're
Iran's central
controlled
bank
indirectly.
had its assets frozen by the BIS.
And they just got money sent directly from the United States in euros and Swiss francs.
So,
Who controls the euros and Swiss francs? The BIS. I mean, yeah, you
so
want to
Iran's
compartmentalize everything, but it can't be
Iran's
compartmentalized.
bank is controlled, same as everyone else. They're part of the
Who?
same central banking system. Iran.
No, they're not signatories to the Basel Accords.
Okay.
Are they?
Can they have their assets frozen from their central bank so that they're not allowed to use their money? Are you saying that didn't happen?
They can have assets frozen, but they're not signatories, which means they don't have their capitalization rates set by the Basel III
They
Accord.
don't care whether you sign it or not. They can have their money taken away at any time. They can have their trade restricted at any time. They're not allowed to do business with other countries.
And then they can manipulate the supply of oil. Of
Anyway,
course, there's
get to
all
your
sorts of different
evidence. I don't give a shit about the BIS or any of this crap.
I know you don't give a shit about
No, I'm
the
just tired.
number
I'm
one
tired of
organization
going
that
in circles
controls
with you
all the
because
governments.
You're talking
Listen.
about everybody being a government agent.
Ryan, you're
I've
a
been doing
government
this shit
agent.
for 20 years. Okay? I've been doing this crap since I was 19.
So what? You've been misinforming folks since then.
I've been working for the government since I was 19. Unreal.
Did I say that? I said you've been misinforming people since then.
I have been telling the truth since I was a teenager. I've been speaking out against Israel's
You can't even look at
occupation.
you got to look away when you
I'm
say
tired of laying down.
truth.
My chair is facing this way, so to hit the wall,
Hey,
it's 5 in the morning, asshole.
So, hey Ryan, let's get together when you come into town. You certainly will not be talking to me like this when we're face to face.
You know what? I run a gym, so why don't you come in and do jujitsu with me? Or whatever you want. Then I can legally beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. Well, I don't waste my time with that.
Oh,
as you've
I will
seen
definitely
earlier.
come to Virginia for that.
Please do. Please do.
We can go
and we'll
to
set up a
Machado's.
date for it.
Yes.
We'll set up a
You ain't gonna
date
do that
for
shit.
it, Ryan. You don't think?
That was my
You don't
former
want me
job.
to show up there.
Dude,
Ryan,
you're a little
here,
twig.
I'm going to explain
You're
to
a
you
little
in
piece
a
of
very short time how it is that you are a government
Do you
agent.
have any training in anything?
Training in what?
Any kind of martial art, boxing, wrestling, anything.
Boxing or wrestling?
Whatever. Boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai.
Why would I need that? I carry a gun everywhere I go.
You're gonna
you have
need it if
training
you
in
come to
shooting
a
a gun?
gym. I mean, you're the little kid being like, why don't you come here and meet me and face to face and say this shit because I got a gun I carry around. Like, yeah, I'm real excited to do that so you can shoot me. But I'll meet you in the gym. No guns
I
there.
never said I was going to shoot you.
Yeah.
You said that.
You think I'm a government agent and you're saying you're armed everywhere you go and you want me to meet you in
Yes.
Virginia. Yeah, right.
Look,
I think
man,
you're a crazy person.
I
You walk
am
around with a gun
armed
24/7
around
and
a
you think
lot more
everybody
important
you think
people than
everybody's
you,
a government
Ryan.
agent.
I am armed around a lot more important government agents than you, Ryan.
Oh, who else is a government agent that you've been around? You think Chris Bolin's a
I
government
know.
agent?
A half a dozen governors of Virginia, the President of the United States, countless senators. I don't know what else to say. Whoever I see where I go, and I always go armed with a camera, number one, and a gun, number two. So here's
Do you
here's
walk
how it
around
goes.
with a gun and you don't pay your taxes and you think lots of people are government agents who aren't government agents?
You're a government agent.
I'm not a government agent.
Who employs
If
you?
I'm a government agent, we need more government agents like me speaking out against the government every day.
Okay, well then you're admitting you're a government agent now.
I'm not
So-
admitting I'm a government agent. I'm not a government agent.
Everyone not
See-
calling for the lawful abolition of the criminal government is a government agent.
Everybody
law-
not doing that is now a government agent.
Everyone not calling for the abolition of this criminal government is a government agent. And I would say advocating voting in rigged elections is...
So everybody who voted is now a government agent. Everyone who
Not
voted is a
who
government
has
agent.
voted. Everyone who knows that the system is rigged and continues to vote.
Well,
If you're so experienced, you should know better than to tell
who
people
voted
to
don't think
vote.
it's rigged. I think telling people not to vote is what makes it easier for them to steal it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the government is engaged in war against the people. The law of the land calls for the abolishment of the government.
Have you ever been committed?
Let's see here.
Are you on are you on any kind of medication? I'm just curious.
Are you?
No.
I'm not.
No, I don't take anything.
So when you go online and you have to take things down and you go like, oh man, I was drinking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made fun of retarded people and killing animals. Like I had too much to drink. I don't do that.
I don't do that.
Are you on any medication?
No.
I'm not.
I've never talked about killing animals or any of that shit.
Yeah,
I call
you did.
people retarded. I think you're retarded.
There's a website about that.
Well, somebody just made that shit up.
Did. Making fun of retarded people. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't make fun of people who actually have Down syndrome or something. I'm making fun of people like
you.
You did. I make fun of people like you who I call retarded.
You admitted it.
Which just means extremely stupid.
You did. You did it.
I don't make fun of handicapped people. No, I haven't.
Okay, here we go.
But you got a list
is or ought to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community of all various modes and forms of government that is best, which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness
and safety. You can't even memorize your rhetoric. You have to read it off a piece of a paper.
Secured against the danger of maladministration, and that when any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community has the indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it.
You can't even read. How many times have you read that document? You can't even read it. It's amazing.
I don't know. How many times?
I don't know how many times you read a document.
I read it. Did you not? Which part did you not get?
I've heard it. I don't disagree with it. I don't know why you're reading that shit to me.
So call for the abolition of government. The United States government must be abolished.
Okay. I don't want to have a federal government, but we have one, and I'm not LARPing, and I work within the system. Nothing.
This is not excluding a federal government. This is just saying that a government engaged in war against the people has to be abolished.
Well,
so all you have to do in order to not be a government agent is to follow my lead and follow our lead.
Oh yeah,
so do it, or you're a government agent. Call for the abolition of the government.
Follow you, or you're a government agent. Do you know how insane that sounds?
Follow this.
All you gotta do is follow me and my piece of paper and my 9mm in my back pocket, and then you're not a government agent. Otherwise, you're a government agent. Everybody's an agent but you. I think you're crazy.
No, I didn't say that. I mean, there's... I don't know what you had... You can do that all you want.
Spit it out.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
That's not what I'm saying.
You just read your little manifesto. What is it?
If one does not call for the abolition of the government, then one is a government agent.
Okay. So, anybody who voted... It's not...
Anybody who advocates voting for Donald Trump. Do you know about Donald Trump and Jeff Epstein?
I've heard about it.
What have you heard?
Oh, he's on the planes with this pedophile guy or something?
Something?
Same
have
with
you talked about that? You talked about Bill Clinton
I haven't seen convincing evidence
and Jeff
about
Epstein?
It.
What?
I have not seen convincing evidence about the Epstein thing for Clinton or Trump, and that's why I don't talk about it. And I don't need to go into spookadoo nonsense when there are plenty of real crimes that Donald Trump has done.
Well, what about Donald Trump's own words? What about multiple lawsuits filed by multiple underage sex slaves against Jeff Epstein and Donald Trump?
And where did those lawsuits
New York and
go?
California.
You see that all the time where I think 10 women came out against him right before he got elected, and then all those things got dropped.
Are you saying it's not true?
Accusations are not evidence. Having people say, I mean, it's easy for Clinton to find some people to go say, hey, he touched me, he raped me, or something like that. And it's easy for Trump to do the same thing. I need more convincing evidence than people issuing lawsuits.
How about his own words?
Especially when nobody wins the lawsuits.
How about the guy's own words? How about the guy's own words?
Trump did not say he raped little kids or whatever.
He talks about going into Miss Teen USA pageants when they're dressing.
I haven't heard that.
I'm sure you have.
I have not heard that.
Well, then you haven't heard a lot, and you're not very informed then.
Well, I haven't heard Donald Trump saying he went into teen pageants when they were dressing.
Then you're not very informed.
To me, that sounds like Obama's a secret Muslim type of stuff. Well, maybe you think he
Obama
is.
was a gay prostitute. Obama was a prostitute.
He was
Obama
a gay prostitute.
smokes crack.
Was he Muslim?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he's a
I don't either,
Jew.
since he killed hundreds of thousands of Muslims. I'm going to say he's not a Muslim, but
so what you're saying is Muslims can't kill each other?
Obama's not a Muslim.
I didn't say Obama was a Muslim. You said that because he killed hundreds of thousands of Muslims, that he wasn't a Muslim.
I'm just pointing out that he killed so many Muslims. That's not something. If he was I guess you could say sectarian, but it wasn't like he's just killing Shia or just killing Sunni. He just killed whoever.
Okay, so Muslims can kill Muslims if it's sectarian violence.
That's how it works.
Right. So that's a lot different from your first statement.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
How? Okay. So here's the bottom line, Ryan. Let's get together in Virginia. It can be in the southern part of Virginia. It can be close to wherever you are, or we can even meet somewhere in North Carolina. I'm not going to Buxton. I don't even know where that is.
You don't know where that is, but you know where Manio is, and you don't know where Buxton is?
Exactly.
You just keep going in a straight line down Route 12. That's it.
Okay, well, keep going in a straight line up Route 12 and meet me in Buxton.
I will not have a car, so you have to come to me. I'm already coming across I'm already coming across the fucking ocean. You can meet me in North Carolina.
Fair enough. It seems that North Carolina is an open carry state.
There you go. You can have your gun with you. It won't matter.
Look, dude, I keep saying.
No one's going to try and shoot you or anything.
Nobody's words mean anything until they are armed. It doesn't mean anything.
I disagree with that, too.
Well, you're wrong about that.
I know. You're one of these
wrong
paranoid.
about that.
Do you carry a gun? Do you sleep with a gun?
Government? What controls the governments of the world?
Do you sleep with a gun?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I do.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or crazy.
Well, it doesn't matter.
You sleep with a gun.
It doesn't matter what you think. Do you think I sleep with a gun?
Probably.
Probably.
I think you probably have a gun on your nightstand.
I don't.
That's nice.
But, hey, who would be stupid enough to not have a gun in the United States or anywhere else?
I don't have a gun.
A slave. A slave.
I'm not a slave.
Somebody's either armed or they're a slave. Do you disagree?
I disagree.
How so?
Well, I live in a country where people don't have guns and we are not slaves.
Yeah. You are. We've already established that the United States government occupies and controls the Japanese government.
No, they do not. You just said that. They have a base in Okinawa, which both countries profit from.
We've already established that they have numerous bases there.
Yes, their big bases are in Okinawa, so they have another base in Misawa, whatever. That's not an occupation of the country.
Others, correct. And others.
Yes, there are more than one base on Okinawa.
There's more than two. There's more than two bases in Japan.
There's a couple airfields.
Of the United States government. And they have been occupying Japan.
That is not an occupation of Japan, and the Japanese public are not all slaves, and they don't need guns to have freedom. They have more rights than you do right now.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
What rights?
Well, if I wanted to walk outside with a beer in my hand, I can do that without an open container law or getting arrested for it. If I want to light a fire, I can do that. I can have a fire on the beach. I don't have to have a license. If I want to go fishing, I don't have to get a license like you do in Virginia just to catch some fucking fish and stuff. They don't have everything licensed and regulated to death like in the United States. If I get sick or something, I can go to the hospital, universal health care for free.
Universal health care.
Well, I'm from an island, so fishing's important to me. No, I'm saying it's better than what you have. I want a free market system like the U.S. had in the 50s, but what you have is neither.
I don't have anything. I don't associate myself in any way with the government. I don't need to ask permission to do anything from the government.
Well, you do if you go to a hospital. You're going to have insurance and shit. You have to. Unless you're just going to, like, cure things with home remedies or something. Maybe you do that. I don't know.
I don't go to the hospital.
All right. Well, I can.
No. Well, good. Good for you. I know you're advocating the communist so-called
I don't advocate universal
health
care. I'm saying it's better than what the U.S. has. Because my point was Japan has more rights than the United States, which it does.
Okay, so who ordains the government?
I've been talking to you for an hour and 15 minutes, and you've yet to give me any evidence of being a government agent. And you accuse me of being a fucking
There are probably
Jew.
a couple thousand people who are going to watch this live right now who have seen evidence to the contrary.
No, you're just a crazy person that thinks everybody that doesn't want to abolish the government and follow you is an agent.
Not say who you work for. Who do you work for?
I work for myself.
You don't. We've already established that you don't.
No, I work for myself, and I used to work for a different company, which I haven't worked for 3.5 years, what I'm going to work for next month, because they don't have somebody to fill my slot. I'll be there for like 2 weeks, and then I'm going to the U.S.
What company is that?
I'm not telling you the company name because that will get associated with me, which gets associated
unfairly
to Holocaust denial.
I want to know that.
Well, too bad. I'm not telling you the company name.
So you're hiding who you're working for.
The reason I hide who I work for is I'm not associating them with a so-called Holocaust denier.
Don't want to tell anybody who you work for because it will expose you.
No, it will affect the company and I could lose the job.
You work for yourself. What does it matter?
Because I'm not doing that to them. And I want that money.
You want the money from who? You want to get paid from who?
I'm going to get paid for this company to teach these courses in July, which I have time to do. I'm not giving you the company name.
Who do you want the money from?
The company that's going to pay me to teach.
Right. Who are they?
I'm not telling you.
You're not telling me.
I've explained why not.
It's not a good explanation.
Well, you're not associated with Holocaust denial in Google and have the SPLC and all these bullshit people, the ADL and stuff after your ass. Because you don't do everything you say is just fucking crazy. You're one of these 9/11 well poisoners saying, "Oh, a plane didn't hit the Pentagon." That's disinformation. That doesn't make you a government agent. It just makes you an idiot. Saying a plane hit the Pentagon is not saying, "Oh, well, that's not the official story." You must agree with everything the government said.
So what you're telling me is you don't have free speech.
I cannot tell you that.
Why would it affect the company?
Because getting doxxed like that will associate them and affect their reputation.
What does that mean?
You know damn fucking well that when you get into political activism, that the companies that you work for can be affected.
I don't work for any corporations.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't
so
work for any
that's
governments.
what allows you to say whatever. But I have a part-time job with somebody.
Exactly.
But, yes.
You proved my point.
That doesn't mean shit.
Enough said. You're finished.
It means you're like, well, why doesn't everybody just go around denying the Holocaust and saying whatever I say? Because not everyone else is completely self-employed.
You can't even tell anybody where you get your money from. Because
I get my money from Patreon and T-shirt sales. No.
You are silenced. You are silenced.
I get my money from my Patreon and my T-shirt sales and my movie sales.
Right.
That's right.
So, what company will you be working for? What company did you work for many years in the past?
The same company.
You can't say it because you're silenced. You don't have free speech. You don't have anything. You have no rights.
I don't have free speech on that because a bunch of American assholes will go and say that.
That's a secret. That's a secret. Where does Ryan Dawson work? Does anybody know?
I'm not having a bunch of Zionists call my employers and harass them, which is exactly what would happen.
Hey, let's break down the word employ. What ploy are you involved in with your employer?
Do you not understand?
What kind of ploy are you involved in?
Because I speak out against Zionist power, that those people
That's what you
will
say.
attack
That's
the
what
place
you
where
say.
I work.
You're a controlled opposition, though. You're a
I
limited
am not
hangout.
controlled opposition.
And you work for a employer involved in
Yes.
their ploy, and you won't even say who pays you, how you ended up in Japan.
It doesn't matter.
Anything.
That's right.
It does matter. It's the only thing that matters.
It's none of your
who
fucking
pays
business.
You? Who pays
There's
you?
a company in Japan that pays me to teach. It doesn't matter who they are.
And that's why you're in Japan. That's what you said.
No, I stay in Japan so that my kids can be educated here. I already told you that.
No. You're in Japan originally because you got a job, according to what you said already, from an employer that you won't name.
I went to Japan originally because I got a job in Japan, and I'm staying in Japan because I had children with a Japanese person, and we are staying in Japan.
Who employs you? Who employs you originally? Who employed you originally in Japan?
None of your business. It was not the government.
You moved to Japan without a job.
I moved to Japan with a job. I had a job before I moved.
From who? From who? Who employed you?
Not the government.
What's the name of
I'm
the
not
company?
telling you that. Because they will
Why?
get her. Because a bunch of asshole Zionists.
Who pays you money?
No. Because a bunch of asshole Zionists will contact my employers.
You are hiding
and give them
who's
harassment.
paying you. You are employed.
I am protecting.
You're hiding who's paying you. You talk like a tough guy, and you're crazy for doing that.
I don't have to tell my employment so that people can go harass this company, which is exactly what would happen.
No, I just want to know who's paying you.
Too bad.
I'm not interested in harassing a company. I'm interested in knowing who gets.
Well, I can tell just you, but I'm not telling all the fucking Facebook or whatever because these assholes will contact my employers and harass them.
What assholes?
Holy shit, dude! Internet trolls. People, anybody watching this is gonna go once they find out where I work.
You think that they're gonna contact?
Yes.
What difference does it make if they contact your company?
Because
they don't. The company doesn't know what you do.
I don't actually do that. I'm just accused of it.
No.
I'm not a Holocaust
The company
denier.
does not know that you go on international television and that you are a commentator on politics.
They don't care that I talk on RT and stuff like that.
That's fun. RT. Who owns RT? You're a Russian agent.
I'm not a Russian agent for going on RT. RT doesn't pay me. They don't change
Doesn't
what
matter.
I say.
They wouldn't put you on there unless you work.
So are you?
And you
wait,
don't have
hold on,
to directly pay you.
You said you were on
Press TV. I
Press
don't get directly
TV.
paid
Does that
from
make
Press
you?
TV,
All right,
but I make money because of it.
So are you an Iranian agent?
Of course not.
But you're on Press TV?
Guess where I film my spots? The Virginia State Capitol.
That's great. So does that make you an Iranian agent because you're on Press TV? Because that's your same logic.
It certainly does not.
Well, am I an Iranian agent
The
for being on
Iranians
Press
are
TV?
an agent of the militia.
Great.
The Iranians are agents of the militia.
Okay, and Russia isn't. So I'm on Press TV and RT and the Jon Stewart Show and CNN and a whole bunch of other things. Am I an agent of all these places?
Jon Leibowitz Show? The Jon Leibowitz Show?
Jon Stewart.
Oh, that's Jon Leibowitz is not Jon Stewart's real name?
The name of the show is the Jon Stewart Show. His name was Joseph Leibowitz. He went to William & Mary. He was my commencement speaker at my graduation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So what?
Exactly. You're working with Jews. And is Jon Stewart
working for him. I didn't get paid by him.
What about Jon Stewart and about how he's misinformed everyone on 9/11? And then what?
I don't like what Jon Stewart said on 9/11, but I was on there to talk about Bank of America and the TARP funds and shit like that.
So you didn't bring up 9/11 with Jon Leibowitz, did you?
I didn't get to bring up on the fucking thing. I wasn't there
Oh,
live.
why not? You can't say exactly what you want.
Asshole, and
you
I'll tell
can't say what you want when you're on TV.
Because I wasn't there in an interview, what they did is took a video I'd already made and aired it on this show. And they're not airing my 9/11 stuff.
So good. They're promoting you on the Jon Leibowitz Show.
They promoted what I said. They didn't say who my name or where to go.
So you are serving the interest of this Jew, Jon Leibowitz.
I'm not serving the interests of this Jew, Jon Leibowitz. They were bashing
Then why
Bank
did he
of
put
America.
your information on the show? Do you think that he wants a fair discourse?
Well, that would make him supporting what I'm saying, not me supporting what he's saying. I was speaking out against
It would be one and the same.
fund.
You both supporting each other.
No, it isn't, because he has a much larger audience and number of issues than me.
Right. So you're going to water down your message so you can get put out to your Jew friends.
He's not my friend. The only thing that he ever put my
Comrades.
videos on about was about TARP and Bank of America and how the American public got fucking ripped off.
Your comrade. You've
Okay,
already,
not a comrade.
You've already established that you like political Judaism because you're advocating a single-payer healthcare system.
I'm not advocating a single-payer healthcare system.
You already advocated it during our conversation.
No, I just said it's better than what the United States currently has. I opened that up by saying I support a free market system.
How is that not advocating? How is that not advocating?
Because I advocate a free market system like the U.S. had in the 50s. Universal healthcare isn't good. But what the U.S. has, this mixed system and corporatocracy, is even worse. Do you not understand nuance?
I don't understand anything, but I comprehend nuance.
Either
of
A
course,
or B.
I comprehend
it's got to be
nuance.
this one. There can't be any in between. You're so fucking stupid. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, I said, I support a free market healthcare system. You don't have that. It's not like either that or universal healthcare. There are other systems. And the U.S. doesn't have a free market system.
You said universal healthcare is better than what the United States has.
That's right.
Okay, so you're advocating Marxist Jew universal healthcare.
I am not. If I said cocaine's not as bad as crack, that's not advocating cocaine. It's just saying crack is worse. Cocaine is also bad. Do you not understand how the U.S. can have a shitty system? Japan can have a bad system, but it's still better than the U.S.'s system. That's not advocating the bad system. It's just pointing out that America has a worse system.
Japan, your words mean nothing because
I'm not holding a gun.
Your jiu-jitsu will not work against a government who's armed with guns.
Your 9mm
and you
is
don't
not
have to worry about
against
that
a government
because
that's
you
armed
work
with
for the
guns
government.
either.
What?
Your 9mm is not going to work on a government armed with guns either. If the government wants to
that's why we don't talk about anything. Like, the Second Amendment is about the body of the people controlling the weapons of war, the body of people controlling the banking system through the weapons of war. Anyone who advocates anything outside of that is misdirecting people.
Do you? You don't have the weapons of war.
Right, but it's required by law to be in the hands of the people. So we're advocating enforcing the law.
Well,
enforcing the law. That's all we advocate.
You're never
You don't advocate anything. You advocate a criminal system and criminals like Donald Trump.
I'm not advocating a criminal system.
Vote for Donald Trump, says Ryan Dawson.
I still support voting for Trump over Hillary.
Said it again. So you support Donald Trump.
No, I don't support Donald Trump.
You do not advocate for America because you live in Japan.
That is bullshit. It doesn't matter where I live.
It only matters where you live.
I want
Nothing
the U.S.
else matters.
To end all aid to Israel. I have a fucking sign of it most of the time. I took it down so you could see it. How about
this, Ryan? If the law were to be enforced, the United States military would demolish Israel and take out all of its government leaders because Israel did 9/11.
Yeah.
So because Israel carried out this act of war, we should have not gone and destroyed Afghanistan and Iraq. We should have decapitated the Jewish state.
Israel did 9/11 in tandem with the United States. They have a green light. You have to go after your own government officials. Of course, because we've already established that the Israeli Zionist Jews control every aspect of the United States, the United Nations, Russia. Hey, how about, do you know who Beryl Lazar is? No.
You don't?
No.
Do you know who Vladimir Putin is?
Of course.
How do you not know who Beryl Lazar is if you know who Vladimir Putin is? How about
I think the majority
Roman
of people
Abramovich
who know who Vladimir
and
Putin
Semyon
is, they don't know who Beryl Lazar is.
Lavayev and Oleg Deripaska. Right. Those are the Jewish handlers of the
I know the last ones you said of Jewish oligarchs. You mispronounced some other names, though.
So what?
Well,
I'm just saying.
It matters because I don't know what you're saying.
Those are the handlers for the Jew Putin, who you go on his network.
Putin is not a Jew. And every time I was on RT...
His mother was a Jew.
Every time I've been on RT, they did not alter anything I said. And all I said was
Have you ever
anti-Zionist
said
stuff.
anything that is critical of the Russian government on RT?
I did. I criticized them on
What?
Ukraine. I criticized their treatment in Ukraine.
Their treatment in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time when they have me on is not to talk about Russia, it's to talk about Yemen or Cuba or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or Japan most of the time, actually.
What about Russia and their cooperation with Saudi Arabia, Israel?
I criticize.
What about their cooperation even with the United States?
What about it? I'm not on fucking Team
teach
Russia
economics.
just because I'm on RT.
Hey, what's
you have this kind of guilt by association thing, like, well, you're on RT, therefore you're a Russian agent. But I'm on Press TV, but I'm not an Iranian agent. No, I'm not a Russian agent. I haven't been on RT since 2014, ever since they started that Holocaust denial bullshit. Ever since then, I haven't been allowed on again. Because it's illegal.
Fair enough. They got what they wanted out of you. They got what they wanted out of you.
No, they did. Jesus, dude.
Yes, they did.
You got enough ad hocs.
Ad hocs. No ad hocs.
No, I interviewed Peter Lavelle twice. See, I interviewed them after I wasn't on RT. They come on my show.
I don't know who Peter Lavelle is.
He runs Crosstalk on RT. It's the most popular show they have.
I don't watch RT.
Well, and that go figure. So you don't know what they say. They've had the most accurate news on
about
Syria.
what RT says. I know that they're controlled by the Russian government. Are they not?
It's state funded, yes. But what are they saying that's incorrect about the Middle East?
What are they saying that's incorrect about the Middle East?
You don't watch it, so you don't know.
I know that Russia today is advocating or stating that they are supporting the Syrian people when in actuality they are bombing the Syrian people. Israel and Russia are two peas in a pod. It's one and the same.
They are not the same.
How so?
Because Israel acts as Al-Qaeda's air force and Russia destroys ISIS. They've killed them. You ask
ISIS is the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service.
ISIS is an Islamic proxy force for Israel in the West.
ISIS is the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service.
Yes, I know you saw a video where someone said that, and it has the same acronym. That doesn't make ISIS the Israeli Central Intelligence Force.
Oh, another thing it is located in Fort Huachuca and on Pennsylvania Avenue, ISIS. It is a U.S. military contractor that operates in the Middle East.
It's also in the show Archer. So what? It's also an Egyptian goddess. It's a lot of
right.
stuff.
Right. Of course.
It was the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. They don't call themselves ISIS.
I know. Daesh. I know. ISIL. ISIL. In the Levant. Yes, I know.
There's ISIL, Daesh, Takfiri militants, there's a whole bunch of names. Those Al-Qaeda groups all go by their own...
But it is a front for the Jews. Is it not?
It's not for the Jews. It is a Wahhabi...
Who's it a front for? Who's it a front for? Israel.
They ain't fighting
Israel
on
or
behalf
the Jews?
of Israel and Saudi Arabia and other... they're mercenaries, so they fight for whoever's paying them. But they're definitely of the Wahhabi ideology.
Them? Israel. Who's
Israel
paying
is
them?
paying them.
Israel,
Saudi
United
Arabia
States.
is paying them more.
Israel,
Turkey
United
is paying
States, and Saudi Arabia. Who's paying them? And France. All of them. Wrong? Am I wrong or am I right?
Well, there's a difference between the Jews and Saudi Arabia, Israel, France, Turkey, and all these other nations you're going to name. Plus Russia, who you think is part of it.
They all have the same monetary source, do they not?
That doesn't make them all uniform in foreign policy.
But they are uniform in foreign policy.
No, they're not. Russia is fighting against Al-Qaeda. The U.S. is pretending to. And Israel is openly fighting against them. Because Israel, a lot of Israelis, they're going to go against Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is fighting ISIS. Therefore, Israel is on the side of ISIS. They never attack each other. Russia
the U.S.
will attack ISIS.
And Russia coordinate attacks in Syria.
Really? How many times
If you deny that...
Yes, how many times has Russia bombed the Syrian army? I'm denying it. Russia and Assad are working together.
And the U.S. are coordinating and others are coordinating attacks in Syria. Deny that. Please deny that.
I'm denying that. The U.S. informs Russia of its own attacks. It doesn't direct Russia where to attack.
The
U.S.'s own attack. It says, we're coming, get all the Russian shit out, because they're not about to start a war with Russia. And the U.S. was mainly firing
and Russia
at
is not
Israel's
about
enemies.
to start a war against its ally, the U.S.
No, it's not, because yes, they are allies actually, but not in Syria. They have
Of course
a huge
they
disagreement.
are. Why
They're
have
not,
you been
because they're
arguing that
first
they've
world
been not
countries
for the past hour?
Because the Russia and the United States are not going to start World War III over Syria.
When did any of the world wars stop?
When they stopped.
Is there a world war going on right now?
No, there's wars going on.
No?
It's not a world war now.
Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, Ukraine, all over Africa.
Wait, hold on. Can you name some African countries? I'm curious. Besides Egypt and Libya, what's next to Libya?
Tunisia.
Tunisia's on one side. It's on the other side.
Right. What's on the other side? I mean, hey, I might be wrong about this, but let me see. What's on the other side of Libya? Morocco?
No, it's Mali.
Mali. Okay, I was wrong about that.
That's
Look,
fine.
I'm not making assertions that I know everything,
right.
But I'm not going to act stupid about things that are obvious.
I'm the limited hangout because I actually can talk about stuff other than the Constitution and guns.
You can't talk about the economic system around the world.
Yeah,
you cannot talk about the geopolitical military agreements among nations.
Yeah,
you can't talk
and have
authoritatively about the United Nations because you're acting like the United Nations is against Israel when the United Nations created Israel.
The United Nations of 1949 and the United Nations now are not the same political body.
Right,
a lot of people have joined.
Just like when my mom lived in Japan in the late 40s,
they were occupied.
It was occupied by the United States government, and when you live there right now, it's still occupied by the United States military.
They are not.
Yes, it is.
There's
and
a big difference between Japan in the 1940s
you will not
and
say
Japan
who you
right
work
now.
for. You will not say who you work for.
So what?
Or who do you work for?
I work for myself.
But you don't. You've already said that you don't work for yourself.
I told you. I didn't even have to tell you. I could just say I work for myself.
Who's your employer? Who's your employer?
I work for myself right now, and I'm going to work for a company in July.
Who's your future employer?
I'm not telling you that because I already explained like 40 fucking times. I'm not having my company get harassed by Zionists. That's my prerogative. It's not the government. That's all you need to know.
Russia told us where in Syria they could not bomb. Sky.com.
That's right.
Right. Coordinating attacks, working together.
That is not the same thing. You don't understand nuance. So you have a paranoid personality. So what you do is look for the most negative thing that will confirm your confirmation bias and go, aha, they warned that they were coming to shoot cruise missiles, therefore it's all one big thing and they all work together and they're all on the side of the terrorists and Russia's just pretending to fight ISIS.
What about the Russians and the United States training with top secret weapons in Fort Collins, Colorado?
What about it? Russia is an ally of the United States. That doesn't make them one and the same in Syria policy. They're not. The United States has been openly supporting al-Qaeda groups.
So Syria is about the size of Texas. And there are 8 of the largest militaries in the world just killing and bombing and destroying everything about Syria. But none of these 8 fight each other.
They are fighting each other, but no one's fighting the Russians other than the terrorist proxy forces. And briefly, I guess, Turkey.
Who's fighting each other? Is France fighting Russia?
No.
Is Saudi Arabia fighting Russia?
None of them are going to fight Russia other than...
Is Israel fighting Russia? Is Russia fighting Israel? Is
Iran
fighting...
Israel is fighting Russia through its proxy forces.
Through its proxy forces. But no, they aren't. Because Israel and Russia are one and the same. They're controlled by an international Jewish cartel.
So, do you think Al-Qaeda and Israel and Russia are all the same thing? The only party fighting against all of it is Syria? Or do you think Syria is in on it too?
Who's Syria?
The Assad government.
Have you ever discussed this with members of parliament in Syria?
The Assad government.
Have you ever had discussions with members of the Assad regime?
I don't speak Arabic, so I'm not. Yeah, actually, I've talked to members of the Assad regime, but I'm not in the parliament.
Okay.
I've actually also talked to your senator, Richard Black, about that from Virginia, the state senator. I don't know if he's in your district or whatever. I think so, actually. But and he is totally against the war in Syria.
Richard Black.
Senator
He's a
Richard
state
Black.
senator in Virginia.
Yes.
From where?
Blacksburg, maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not in Blacksburg.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Blacksburg's like 4 hours away. You lived in Williamsburg, so...
I lived in Lynchburg and Charlottesville, too.
Okay, so...
I'm going to look up where Richard Black lives, because I don't know.
Okay. So, here's the thing. You say that you can't speak Arabic, therefore you have not spoken with members of the Assad regime.
I've talked to people in the Assad regime. You asked me if I had talked to the Syrian parliament, which I have not. Have you?
Members of Syrian parliament.
Do you talk to them?
I have. I don't speak Arabic either.
Well, I don't know.
But we have translators. I have a there's a translator that when I go. I mean, you say you've been on Al Alam TV twice, right?
I'm guessing about that.
You're guessing.
It might be 3 times. I don't know.
Okay. And you also say that you were on Renegade, but you don't remember Nick Spiro.
I did not remember the interviewer.
You don't remember Nick? Yeah, his name was Nick Spiro.
Okay, so what?
I believe he's passed away at this. He's passed away since then. He died unusually.
That's sad.
And you did not know that?
Nope. I go on a lot of shows.
So do I. But I guess I just have a better memory than you. So you said you've been on Al Alam twice.
I think so.
That's not English language, right? You know that, right?
My interview was in English. Every interview I've ever done, other than some in Japan, have been in English. For everything.
I speak English when I'm on Al Alam, but nobody else speaks English except for what? The translator, right?
Do you have a point?
You say
like
you do
you're
a lot...
like stating really obvious crap.
Right, but you're saying that you can't speak to certain folks because you don't speak their language.
You asked me if I talked to members of the parliament. The majority of the parliament speaks Arabic. I don't. It's not easy to have access to just a member of parliament of any country either. You know, just like, hey, you want to interview about
Dick
Syria?
Black also goes on RT.
Yes, he does.
So
what? Is he now a Russian agent too?
Evidently. Do you think that they would have somebody who is against what they want to have said on RT?
You think everyone on RT is a fucking Russian agent? Even a U.S. Marine and U.S. Senator?
You talking about Adam Kokesh? Yeah,
I'm talking about Richard Black. He was a Marine too and a senator. I don't believe Adam Kokesh was ever a senator.
No, he wasn't, but he was a Marine.
He got a Purple Heart in the Vietnam War. Huh. Yes, Adam was a Marine, so...
That's an illegal war. And anybody fighting in any war for the United States government is not fighting for America. They're fighting for the owners of the United States government.
Well, not every 18-year-old kid is aware of that.
I am. I don't care what stupid people aren't aware of.
That's great. Well, I don't consider Richard Black stupid. And I don't think it was as easy to get...
No, he's a Russian agent.
Oh, he's a Russian agent. He's your senator.
Look, he's not my senator. He's a senator from another jurisdiction in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He's a state senator. He's not a U.S. senator.
What part of Virginia are you in, by the way?
I'm in Richmond.
All right.
So, again, anybody who's in the state government of Virginia, as I've said, sitting in the PBS studio in the state capitol in Richmond many, many times, anyone who works for this government is a criminal and subject to capital punishment for treason, which, according to Article 3, Section 3 of Constitution for the United States, is waging war against the people or giving their enemies aid and comfort. Are elected officials in the United States giving aid and comfort to the enemies of America, to the enemies of American people?
So you think
Are elected officials giving aid and comfort to the enemies of the American people?
You think Richard Black is a Russian agent because he was on RT?
Are elected officials giving aid and comfort to the enemies of America? The American people?
Are you still yelling?
I'm asking you a question, man.
I didn't know if you were done. I asked you a question. Do you think Richard Black...
I asked you the same question 3 times. It's a yes or no question.
What? I wasn't listening to you. I was looking up Richard Black stuff. It's Prince William County.
Yeah, that's Northern Virginia.
Yeah, he's in Nova.
Okay.
He's not a Russian agent.
Elected officials... I mean, Prince William is just north of Fredericksburg. It's pretty much the beginning of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, it's Nova, though.
It is now. It didn't used to be, but...
Sadly.
But in any event,
Nova,
it's not black.
For those who aren't from Virginia, is Northern Virginia.
Are elected officials in the United States, are they engaged in war against the people and giving aid and comfort to the enemies of the American people? Are elected officials doing that?
Some of them are. I think that's a crass...
Who's not?
I think that's a big oversimplification to say, well, you're in the government, therefore every decision the government's ever made you agree with.
What's Title 31 of U.S. Code? Let's get to Ron Paul, because Ron Paul is certainly a Russian agent.
Oh, God. Ron Paul's a Russian agent, too.
Of course he is. Of course he is. He goes on RT more than anyone.
So basically, you can't get on RT. So anybody who's on RT is a Russian agent.
I wouldn't go on RT. I wouldn't go on RT.
They wouldn't have you because you're nuts.
RT is a lot more informative than RT is.
How would you know? You don't watch RT.
I know enough. I've seen enough RT to know what's going on there.
You didn't know what crosstalk was.
Of course I didn't. I don't know what crosstalk is.
Yeah, so you're
How
not
about this?
paying attention to RT.
Ron Paul advocated auditing the Federal Reserve Bank, correct? And he could never get it done, right?
That's right. But
what's Title 31?
They had a GOA audit of the Federal Reserve anyway in 2011.
What's that?
The GOA audit of the Federal Reserve was in 2011. That's how we learned they gave $22 trillion in bailouts.
No. Title 31 of U.S. Code demands a yearly audit of the Federal Reserve banking system. Title 31. It's never been done. Never been done.
It was
done.
That's
the physical
in 2011.
Asset. How much gold does the Federal Reserve Bank of New York have then?
Are you unaware of the GOA audit of 2011? It said that they gave away trillions of dollars to all these financial institutions, Goldman Sachs, etc. It did that. There was an audit. No one paid attention to it. Nobody gave a fuck.
What I'm saying is the physical and the computer algorithmic holdings are 2 different things, and they both combine together. A physical audit.
Do you think Fort Knox?
Section 31 of U.S. Code demands a yearly audit of every Federal Reserve Bank holding.
Yes.
It's never been done. That GOA audit is worthless.
It's not worthless.
How is it not worthless?
Because it showed that the Federal Reserve bailed out different financial institutions to the tune of trillions of dollars in secret.
Oh, we didn't know that already?
It's different than
proving it. Who bailed them out? Really? Because who is the
lender of last resort?
Who is the reinsurer of the Federal Reserve Bank?
They have several reinsurers, is what I thought.
Who are they? Don't just answer the question. If you know so much, you say several. Name them then.
I think Cantor was one. Cones was one.
What's the biggest one? Because you've missed that already.
I don't know the fucking reinsurance
American
company.
International Group.
Okay.
Maurice Berg.
Great.
The Berg family. Right. So you put out partial information. We know the whole story and put it out there, and we say
it's not partial. I don't know everything about everything.
And they're subject to capital.
You don't fucking know my niche thing the way I do, and so you must be a disinformation.
I'm telling you. Exactly.
I can ask you all kinds.
You didn't even behind what we're saying.
You didn't even know what fucking country is next to Libya.
And you talk nonsense that means nothing.
It's not nonsense, dude. I talk about what I know. It is
nonsense.
I talk about
your
Federal
nonsense.
Reserve. You didn't know there was a GOA audit. You didn't even know there was one.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. You said there's never been one. Then you started backpedaling.
There's never been a physical audit under Title 31 of U.S. Code, which demands a yearly audit.
Who had the largest bailouts?
Who had the largest bailouts?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean who had the largest bailouts?
Well, who received the most money?
There's constant bailouts. How much money is in circulation right now?
So you didn't look at the GOA audit? Did you just leave?
No, I didn't just leave. My battery's running low. I need to charge this thing up.
Okay. Why don't
You don't know what's going on. You do not know what's going on.
You're just an asshole that's addicted to guns and thinks everybody's an agent but yourself. Anybody that's on RT, including Dr. Ron Paul, you think works for the Russians. And then you think the Russians and the Israelis and all these governments are the same thing because they all have the BIS. No, they're not.
They are. They are absolutely the same thing.
Okay.
They are absolutely the same thing.
Chris,
and there's no disputing that.
It's 5:49 a.m. I've given you enough of my time, and you can call later.
Look, you haven't given me any time. I've been interrogating you, and I look forward to doing that in person. I look forward to doing that in person.
Okay. I really look forward to you trying to do that in person. I'm going to bed now. Fuck off.